runs off this over. 191 for 8. So Organ in, bowls, and Baird's on the back foot, steers that out to extra cover, and there's no run.
The tea break might come at quite a good time for Hampshire. I mean, they obviously got the wicket of Harmer slightly against the run of play, but just want to make sure they don't sort of lose their grip on proceedings that they had for most of the day.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Baird's a good player anyway, isn't he? He looks more than adequate as that's pushed out on the onside, and there is no run. End of the over. 191 for 8. Aaron Baird averages 18 career-wise with the bat, but just looks quite useful out there. Just support Snyder. That's all he has to do.
Absolutely, and Snyder, say, on the verge of another 50. And my word, he's played extremely well and given some positive impetus to Essex, which has been lacking a little bit during the course of a day because of the quality of the bowling.
Yeah, they bowled well today, Hampshire.
It's going to be Dawson. This will be the final over before tea. He bowls. It's just played away up into the onside, and there's no run. Chris in touch with us on the emails. We've talked about Will Jefferson and Paul Walter as tall Essex players. Reece Topley, of course, who was here on Friday, and Derek Pringle too. Thanks very much, Chris. There's Dawson bowls. There's a sweep here, away for probably 2, down towards the fine leg boundary. Long leg will chase round, and there's 50 for Shane Snater, and he's got there in 47 balls. Very, very good indeed. Better than a run of ball. And very, very good hand indeed.
Is that his dad in front of us? Somebody's enthusiastic.
4 4s and 2 6s, and really not completely reversing momentum, but giving Essex a real foothold into the game. And crucially, giving him and the other bowlers something to bowl at, as this is played off the back foot for his 52nd run, out towards deep square leg.
Have you got some more emails? Can I quickly get these in before
please
tea?
do.
Is that all right? Peter Chapman emailed suncricket@gmail.com. Why do you think James Fuller hasn't bowled yet, says Peter in Penzance? I just think that Essex haven't really got away from Hampshire at all in this game, and I think it's not the wicket to be banging it in short.
No.
It never really has been, so I think that's one of the reasons.
Dawson again, a slip and a short leg. Ball is played defensively up. Is the offside? There's no run.
Can I quickly do this one?
Please do, yeah.
John Scoos says about No Man's Land, we were talking earlier, your conversation with No Man's Land reminded me of a match I played on No Man's Land Common near St Albans. I didn't know there was one there.
Here's next delivery from Dawson, defensively into the onside, and no run.
I'll be quick, Nick. We lost the toss and went out to field. After a few balls, I noticed that the wicket-keeper, or as a wicket-keeper, I'd forgotten to put my box on. Hurried departure at the end of the over. He's a devoted follower of Hampshire, having lived in Bournemouth from 12 to 20 years age, but now lives near Chelsea.
And this is again played defensively. That will be tea. Thanks to the Grumbler for getting in touch, by the way. Snater's batting stats this season, it's his third 50. Strike rate of basically 0.76 before today. This innings has been 1.08. So if you like, basically 108 runs per 100 balls. He's basically the third highest run score. He's got 8 sixes, and the rest of the team put together have 7. And what he has done, as you indicate, the Grumbler there with his momentum, he's just taken the initiative away from Hampshire, turned that into, well, certainly an even session at worst for Essex, with Snater 52 from 48, Beard 10 from 26, and Essex 194 for 8. So a good time for Hampshire to have a break, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Just finish off very quickly. John says he could have been at the ground today, but suffered from staying up to watch McCartney last night. But I didn't realise it was 3 hours. I only stayed up and watched a bit of that because I left early this morning. It says I'm John, height 4'11". There we go. So he makes our 11. Thank you.
Apparently, it was very good indeed as well. So I'll try and catch that on the old iPlayer. 194 for 8, and we're back with the final session of the day at around about 4:05.
It wasn't planned. I just planned to go.
Welcome back on BBC Essex and BBC Radio Solent to our coverage of this first day of the championship match between Mid-table Essex, I think it's fair to say, and second-placed Hampshire, who at one point were only a point behind Surrey, but Surrey have now started to bound clear again because they're getting a lot of runs very quickly against Kent at the Oval. Here, well, it's not been a high-scoring day until Shane Snyder came along, because he's slammed 52 from 48 balls and has taken Essex to a relatively prosperous 194 for 8. That certainly, in comparison to how things were earlier on, when Essex was struggling after choosing to bat on a pitch that certainly has offered something to the bowlers, particularly with the ball when it was newer. And at various points Essex have been struggling along at 16 for 3 at one stage, and then 56 for 5. But there was a good partnership of 59 for the 8th wicket between Simon Harmer, who made 19, and Snater. Harmer was out to Dawson to give Dawson his second wicket, but since then it's been Snater and Aaron Beard, and they've taken Essex up to 194 for 8. So Essex with a good chance of getting at least one batting point, giving they'd like obviously to try and bat as long as possible in this session, give if they are to be bowled out, to then give Hampshire an awkward little spell to bat at the end, and to try and even up, or maybe even get the better of what's been a fluctuating opening day. I'm Nick Leadhill, Dick Davis is here, and Kevin James. Good afternoon again, Kevin.
Yeah, good fight back. Yeah, good afternoon. Good fight back from Essex in that session. Was it 122 runs they scored for the loss of those 3 wickets? And Snater being very positive out there, and at the moment it looks like the way to play.
Yeah, he has. No doubt about that. It's been very good. And it's going to be Carl Abbott to bowl to him. And the last time Carl Abbott came on, he had immediate success. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. Going to bowl from the Hayes close end, runs towards us, bowls to Snater, who almost hits this straight to mid-wicket. That was an indication perhaps of the variable bounce, and it was almost like he was giving catching practice, but just hit it slightly to the right of the man he was trying to find. It was a very involuntary shot, that, but again, indication perhaps a little bit of a variable bounce. 194 for 8, and we're into the 65th over, so there is a new ball in this session for Hampshire if they need it.
Well, he got a good rhythm in his batting, didn't he, before tea? Sometimes you want to play the same way straight after the break. Sometimes you can't always do that.
Quite bright sunshine now, and Snater this time does play a more effective shot, a sort of a paddled pull in front of square on the onside. Goes out to deep mid-wicket. There is a deep mid-wicket and a fine leg back on the boundary. I don't think there's a sweeper on the offside, so largely keeping the field up is Vince, and he'll certainly do that now, more so with Beard on strike. So Beard acquitted himself pretty well in that little period before tea.
Yeah, he's playing exactly the right way, you know, just playing for Snater, really. I mean, if Snater keeps another hour and a half of Snater here, and Essex will get a total that they think will be above par at this stage.
So Beard, it's his 26th first-class game, and he does have a top score of 58 not out, so certainly credentials with the bat. And here he gets a very good delivery. That's a snorter from Abbott, which he does well not to edge through to Brown, because it was chasing him in the end. Brilliant piece of bowling from around the wicket, and it was bounced, and it sort of went past his waist in the end and through to Brown.
Just shows, isn't it, there's still the odd ball there, which is not behaving as everybody's expecting it to, which is why I think Snater's done well, because they started to bowl too short at him, so that takes out balls like that. So, you know, Hampshire would want to bowl just line and length all the time.
Here's Abbott going round the wicket to the left-handed Beard, and he shapes up and plays quite nicely, just back of the square on the offside to Fuller. There's no chance for a run there. Temporary thought there might be one, but that wasn't the case. So England needing 296 of 13 without loss. No early wickets this time. And one suspects, although that's the thick end of 300, with Leach having taken 10 in the match and no frontline spinner for New Zealand, you would think that England fancy their chances of making it 3-0. 2 slips, cover point, extra cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and that's outside the off stump and left alone by Beard, just with a nice comfortable lead. There's the 3rd man down in front of us. There'll be a fine leg as well. And good fight back by Essex from a pretty perilous position at various points during the morning session.
That's been good. It's giving Harmer something to bowl at already, isn't it?
Yeah, which is obviously what the game plan would have been. Abbott turns with the white side screen behind him, coming around the wicket and bowls, and it's good leave from Beard, has nothing to do with that. So Essex certainly being encouraged here by the, well, certainly Cook can hold a bat as well. It won't be as free scoring certainly as Snyder, and probably not as free scoring as Beard, but one thing is for true, that the Essex the bowlers can all hold a bat in this innings. And 195 for 8. Snyder has 53, Beard has 10, and we're into the final session on this opening day.
Yeah, as we saw in that over, even with a ball that is into its 66th over, although there was a ball change at 79 for 5 just after lunch. But there is still a little bit there, and I mentioned at tea time off air that I was surprised that we didn't see any more of Ian Holland, because his figures in the morning were 4 overs, no maidens, 2 for 8, and we didn't see him at all in the afternoon session. But here he is, bowling very much medium pace, and he's bowling to the right-hander Shane Snyder. It's short of a length, and Snyder pulls that away through mid-wicket, 4 runs. Bit of a loosener, and Snyder, in his current mood, isn't going to miss out on that. Snyder moves on to 57 now, that will be, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Just waiting for the scoreboard to tick along. 199 for 8. It is Essex on the verge of a bonus point.
Closing in on that career best that he made earlier this season of 79 not out.
He's played well. He's played really well out there. Ian Holland bowls, and that's a length ball. That's better. Oh, it's always taken the non-striker out. Past a diving Barker, much to the delight of the crowd at mid-on, and that's 4 runs. Well, Baird was nearly taken out there. He's only just got to his feet. That's, crowd love that. That's a 200 up for Essex then. It's come up in the 66th over.
A rare batting point for Essex this season, but
didn't look likely at well, 16 for 3. Take your pick, really. 105 for 7, 164 for 8. But Snyder is going along at his own pace, and it's much quicker than the other Essex batters as Snyder pushes that towards mid-wicket. He's probably really enjoying it out there. He looks as though he is. And as I say, he's the only Essex batter that's put the Hampshire bowlers under pressure. What Hampshire have done very well this year as a unit is just press by bowling line and length. None of them are particularly quick, but batters have never really been able to get on top of them until Snyder. And it's made 1 or 2 of them bowl in slightly different areas, which areas they didn't really want to bowl. Length ball, Snyder goes over the top just. Carl Abbott runs back from mid-off. The ball just bounces over his head. He won't even go all the way to the rope. Snyder gets 3. And it looks like Snyder's just going to play the same way regardless at the moment. And the longer he's out there, I was going to say, the longer he's out there, the more of a problem it is for Hampshire.
there's a possibility, just having a look at the stats, that he could, we were just talking about where he is in the Essex run scores for this season, and I'll work out what the total would, how many he'd have to get to. But he could, I think, go into 2nd place in the Essex run scores.
Wow.
I'm just having a little look at that, because Cook is out on his own on 488.
206 for 8, round the wicket now. Holland to the left-hander Aaron Baird pushes forward. That's out into the covers.
Now in 2nd place is Tom Westley on 312, and Snyder currently has 289. So he's got to get probably up number about 33 at the moment. In fact, 23. I'm just checking. There's nobody. There's a lot of people in a cluster. Water 294. Snyder was mentioned 289.
Holland again, length ball, and it's played back to him by Baird. End of the over, 206 for 8. There was 11 runs off that one.
Brown on 296. So a lot of players in a cluster between 280 and 312. But there's nobody beyond Westley's 312. So there is a chance, and we'll keep an eye on that Snyder could go 2nd in the list of Essex run scores, which would be quite remarkable.
Coming in
perhaps tell a bit of a story as well. He's also currently 2nd in the list of Essex wicket takers, because he's on 17, 4 behind Sam Cook. And of course, Simon Harmer's had a relatively lean return with just 12 wickets, whereas normally at this stage of a championship season, you probably normally expect to have
112.
something like 35. So we'll keep an eye on that, as this is driven nicely. First ball of a new over up towards mid-on, but striking the ball very cleanly, Shane Snyder. And Kyle Abbott relieved to see that one being stopped by his fellow opening bowler, Keith Barker, with a cross roll to stop that.
He's really confident out there, Snyder, isn't he?
So he has to get, so a little look, so score at the moment 206 for 8, and he's on 64, so I reckon he needs to probably get back another 20. We'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, 20 to equal Wesley. As Abbott bowls, and he goes on the drive and sends it up towards mid-on, and there's no run, but it really would be the most quirky of stats if that happened. Cook way ahead of everybody else, but so the rest in a bit of a cluster, and it would be really quite something. So Abbott going back to his mark. New ball not too far away.
105 for 7 Essex were at one stage at the fall of Wesley's wicket.
Yeah.
Great comeback.
Suggesting that you can prosper against the older ball. And this is a pretty, good cricket wicket in terms of being a contest between bat and ball. As Abbott bowls. Oh, as appeal for LBW. That must be a good shout. Now, he thought that was going to be given. Did the umpire think it might be going down the leg side? It did seem to jag back. Ooh, that's a pretty good shout, I have to say.
It did, didn't it?
Can't really see much wrong with that. Don't think it hit him outside the line.
Wasn't moving his feet either.
No. Abbott can be probably a bit disappointed that didn't go in his favour. Quite a big moment potentially, because obviously Snyder's got power to add. Abbott was pretty convinced about that one. Very good shout indeed. Slip in, mid-wicket, mid-on, mid-off, cover, backward point. Abbott bowls, and it's a big swing from Snyder with no foot movement. And it goes through to Ben Brown and then to Vince, and then back via the offside infield to Abbott. But that was certainly a very good shout indeed. And well, Abbott will back himself to eventually get Snyder the way he's playing, I'm sure. So far, Snyder has managed to get away with all eventualities. It's proving to be an intriguing battle. It's certainly got Essex back into this game. As here, that's a nice authentic defensive shot from Snyder. Couldn't do much with that one. Partly, the weather's been the same all day, partly cloudy, plenty of blue sky, cotton wool cloud, a breeze, refreshing breeze, temperature around about 20 degrees. Lovely playing and watching conditions.
Yeah, it's been a good day's cricket, hasn't it, really? Most of the time Hampshire have been on top, but there's been pockets of resistance, and this has been the best so far.
Yeah, it's been very good indeed. Snyder continues, and on the pull drive sends it on the bounce to mid-wicket, and there is no run. 206 for 8, and at the end of Abbott's over, 2 for 35 in 17 overs, so as economical as ever. 206 for 8, and we've got 64 to Snyder and 10 to Beard, who's giving good support out there.
Certainly is. Ian Holland's going to have another over, even though his last one went for 11. When you think his figures before that over this morning, 4 overs, 2 for 8, that was a big over off his bowling. But it's Aaron Baird, and he's the sort of player that if you're bowling, you think, well, just keep it tight, and nothing's going to be too untoward. Supporting Snyder well, just pushes that length ball out to point and fielded by Anaya and Donald, but it's Snyder that's taking this bowling by the scruff of the neck. 206 for 8 is giving Essex a reasonable first innings here now, which looked at one stage to be way below par. Slip in still for Baird as Holland runs away from us once more, comes around the wicket, length ball, and Baird quite easily pushing that out off the front foot into the covers.
Yeah, I mean, he does have some batting credentials, particularly in the seconds. 125 not out against Middlesex at the end of last season, for example. Aaron Beard, so it's not altogether surprising that he's doing well here.
Just trying to find the LBW shout on YouTube. I can't find it at the moment. Anyway, that's worked down to fine leg by Baird. He turns blind. He's going to come back for the second. It's a horrible throw right down the middle of the pitch. Neither to the keeper or the bowler, but 2 runs it is. Baird moves on to 12, 208 for 8.
Product of the Essex Academy, been there ever since under 13s, and also with England under 19s, which a good bit of recognition for him.
He's in mainly as a bowler?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a fuller delivery, and that's well stopped by Holland on his follow-through. Nice firm push drive from Aaron Baird.
What's encouraging, I mean, certainly batting looking relatively comfortable against this older ball.
It does, doesn't it?
An indication of how the game might go depending on how many early Hampshire wickets fall. Obviously there is the harmer factor.
Here's Holland again, bowls to Baird. Baird leaves alone outside the off stump, and it's a new ball. Yes. Runs to the Essex total.
Yes, it's certainly, after being in such a strong position 100 runs ago, it's not been too good, not been quite as good really for Hampshire since then.
No, it does look a lot harder, doesn't it?
Yeah, and having to persevere to try and see the back of Essex here.
Just shows that taking early wickets does help you. As long as you polish off the tail, of course. There's a nice drive through extra cover. That's 4 runs. Don't run for that. You just stand and admire the shot. A little bit wide, but that was hit beautifully through extra cover. And Felix Organ, I think that is. No, it's Nick Gubbins, who's at short extra cover, had no chance. And that applause is for the 50-run partnership, which has come off just 62 balls, which is quick by this innings point of view.
It's been very good, hasn't it? That was a cracking shot.
It was. Second 50 partnership of the innings. There's been 2 40 partnerships before that. Here's Holland bowls, Baird pushing forward. That's not out of the middle of the bat, and that'll be the end of the over. And Ian Holland a little bit more expensive in these 2 overs than he was in his 4 overs this morning. 6 overs, 2 for 27 though, having picked up those early wickets in 1 over of Walter and Pepper before lunch. Essex 214 for 8.
Yeah, and 2 pretty good partnerships back to back here for Essex. First of all, of course, involving Simon Harmer, and now Aaron Beard, and it's just made a little bit of a difference, hasn't it,
Yes.
to the whole day. And Hampshire will, when their turn comes to bat, have at least some sort of a score to negotiate. So it's going to be Abbott to bowl to Snyder. So 79's his best. He's got 64 at the moment. And he goes on the drive, sends it to mid-on, and there is there's no run. And yeah, there's highest ninth wicket stand for Essex against Hampshire is 110 not out, made in the 40s at Dean Park. That's quite a way off yet, but certainly they're going along pretty well at the moment, these 2. Keep an eye on that. 5 men saving 1 and a slip, and on the drive again playing very well, looking very comfortable. Snyder sends it up to mid-on and there's no run, and so it looks like a very comfortable wicket, almost as if they could be batting at the Oval, as the Surrey 3rd wicket pair are, who've just added 200, 274 for 2. That's Hashim Amla 120, Ben Geddes 75.
Hashim.
And plenty more to come, I'm afraid, from Kent's point of view. It's only going one way in terms of the Surrey innings. So Abbott bowls, and this time Snyder a flicked pull away through mid-wicket, which will probably go for 4. A long chase, but it's not going to be cut off. Very nicely played, just off the back foot. just flicked away very comfortably for 4 runs. He goes to 68. It really has, it's becoming a sort of a day-changing innings, this. Even though on paper 218 for 8 is nothing crash hot when you'd won the toss and chosen to bat. It's just got a bit of a momentum shifter about this.
He's also making it look very easy. I mean, that's on the up.
Yeah, looks very good out there at the moment. Abbott comes in to bowl to him, and that's thudded into the pad as he was pushing forward. Might have been an insider, no appeal.
You know, again, it's that ball, isn't it, that just does a bit more, you know, well, out of the blue almost. It looks flat, and then all of a sudden one bounces. All of a sudden one nips back quickly like that.
Tea at Northampton. Northampton's 308 for 5 against Warwickshire. Rob Keogh 94 not out. And that game was a delayed start between Gloucestershire and Lancashire. Gloucestershire 152 for 2, having a good day there at Bristol. This is driven back to Abbott on the bounce, fields it in his follow through, and Chris Dent is 62 not out. Gloucestershire 152 for 2 in that one. But top of Division 2, not to 256 for 4 against Middlesex. Hasib Hamid did get his 100. He was out for 101, and he was out when the score was at 227. So it's 256 for 4. The top two playing each other in that one at Trent Bridge. And just of note elsewhere, as Abbott comes in to bowl, and that's flicked away towards mid-wicket and parried to mid-on. There would have been a run there, but in the end they didn't set off for it, so weren't able to achieve it. Yeah, just worth a mention, Derbyshire and Sussex. Derbyshire 245 for 5 in Division 2, and Wayne Madsen with his 35th first-class century, and he's still there. 218 for 8 here. It's Snyder 68 and Beard 16.
Peter Chapman on the email, suncricket@gmail.com, says, surely it's time for Fuller's extra pace against these tail-enders. I mean, Snyder's a bit better than that, but I know what you mean. Peter in Penzance, I don't think Fuller's bowling is too far away, to be honest. I think maybe it's time for a change of pace. Maybe Fuller might be coming on at that far end to relieve Abbott sometime soon. Vince is trying to get the ball changed. No, says umpire Martin Saggers, who's just thrown the ball back to him.
Well, certainly worth persisting with Dawson, I think, because there's enough there for the spinners. And there was that brief little interlude with Ian Holland. It was worth a go after the way he bowled this morning, but not surprised to see Dawson coming back on. No. Seeing if he can buy a wicket here. But if Hampshire do have a little awkward spell to bat, they're going to have to make sure that they keep the concentration right, because the importance of seeing off a new ball is fairly evident on what we've seen so far. Slip and a short leg.
Dawson's going over the wicket to bed, trying to find some rough.
And that one just pops a little bit, doesn't it? And quite interesting shout there from Dawson. I'd like to see a replay of that, because it did seem to just pop a little bit. There was no shot offered.
It's just aiming it in the rough by the looks of it. Certainly on that ball.
Slip and a short leg, and the shortish mid-wicket. And that's just played off the back foot, and it rolls up into the covers, up towards deep cover for a single. So 219 for 8. Can't remember if it's might have lost track of the overs.
Hey, listen, it doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world. But you're right.
Well, you carry on with this one, because you've got to do an update in a moment.
Yeah. Dawson just putting his deep backward square leg a little finer for Snyder, who's on the back foot, cuts and misses. Ooh, hasn't missed the off stump by very much, all the top edge. Ben Brown behind the stumps, just flicking the off bail off, giving himself a little bit of room there. Snyder trying to force that away, cross batted on the offside. Just takes a bit of time here, taking his helmet off, readjusting, ready to face Dawson next ball. 219 for 8. Dawson comes in again, and there's a little leading edge there. It goes out in the air. There's nobody at point as the ball bounces out around that area. Just trying to close the face a little bit too quickly there, Snyder. Ball just held in the turf, just straightened a fraction on him as well. 220 for 8 now, and Snyder moves on to 69. It's still just above a run of ball. That's off 68. And Baird facing the next delivery from Dawson for defensive. It goes out on along the ground on the onside. Dawson into over number 18. 2 for 55. Just getting the odd bit of help from this pitch. Not a lot, but just enough. Fouls. That's flicked away on the leg side by Baird. It's well stopped by Felix Organ at mid-wicket, diving into the ball there. End of the over, 220 for 8. Remember, Essex at one stage, they were 105 for 7 at the fall of Wesley's wicket.
Yeah, it's been a remarkable turnaround. Not absolutely complete yet, in the sense that yeah, I think probably at the start of the day, Hampshire would have settled for Essex being 220 for 8. Having lost the toss, but it's not quite worked out as they would have hoped for once they got that 7th wicket. That looked a really big wicket when they got Tom Wesley. So, Kevin will be back with us in just a moment. He's going to have a report for Solent listeners. And Dick will come back in. So Snyder on 69, just keeping an eye on these season stats, which are really quite interesting in terms of leading Essex run scorers. It's almost something you have to sort of look at twice to be sure that it's right. There's a bit of a delay here, I think, the ball being looked at, so it's very, very commonplace occurrence these days. But Snyder now, looking at the stats, this is 1 run ago, so he's now got 297 for the season. So the second leading Essex run scorer is Wesley on 312. So he needs to get, by my reckoning, well, he'll get a career best if he gets another. So we'll look at, yes, if he gets another 15. First of all, he'll have a career best, but also he'll then draw level with Wesley. So at the moment, it's Walter 294. This is in the order they appear. Walter 294. Cook obviously out in his own 488 with the 300s. Snyder 297. Lawrence 220 from obviously a much more limited number of games. Wesley 312. Critchley 274. Brown 296. And they're way ahead of the rest. So you can see there's a cluster of players vying for second leading run scorer, and it could be Shane Snyder in the not too distant future. I'm not sure what that says about Essex this season.
No, quite.
So it will be, as I say, he's currently on 297, so it will be 15 runs to equal Wesley. And 16 to move into second place. Remember, his career best is 79. He's made 270s already this season. So, interesting to see what he can do here. It's going to be Abbott with a slip in, bright sunshine. The weather's hardly changed all day. 5 saving 1. He bowls, Nom a drive, that's sent away to mid-on, parried by Barker to the extent that there will now be 2 runs when there would have been none. But I suppose Barker could equally argue that he's saved 2 runs because he had to get across, and he got to it, but it just parried it quite a long way actually, and mid-off had to run back towards long-off Brad Wheel to make sure that there was no more than the 2. So he now goes along to 71, his 3rd 70 of the season.
Well, for it to bounce off that far, more or less at right angles, it makes you wonder what it hit.
Yeah. They used a tennis ball for that one. That's driven by Snyder, and
steady.
Barker, nice and steadily, is right behind that, and Snyder goes for a walk towards short leg into the dangerous 70s. Although actually, to be fair, one of the 70s was not out, so it's probably not a very big pool of scores to say that he's going to get into trouble in the 70s. But my word, he's played well, and Beard has done his job at the other end. 222 for 8, and this partnership. Following the partnership, obviously, between Snyder and Harmer has really changed momentum. I think this is now just about to become the biggest partnership of the innings.
58, isn't it?
Yeah, that's always almost a tame dismissal there as he looked to glide that down to 3rd man. Nothing shot really, could easily have edged that through to Brown. I think the previous pair put on 59, and
Walter and
that was yeah, those were both in the 40s. So I think the previous pair put on 59. That was from 105, I think it was, to 164. That was Snyder and Harmer. And this is a pull from Snyder on the bounce to mid-wicket, and there's no run. So let's just have a quick look, check on that. Yeah, there have been a couple of partnerships in the 40s earlier on in the day. And then, yeah, we had 40 between Walter and Wesley. Yeah, that partnership was worth 59 between Harmer and Snyder, and this one is not going to be any more. It should be called at mid-off, and it is. In the end, a leading edge, and Carl Abbott, who looked as likely as anyone to get the breakthrough, and yes, the dangerous 70s for Shane Snyder, strikes again. He's out for 71. He's not going to become the second leading run scorer of the season for Essex, but he's going to get a really good ovation here. That one basically just got a bit big on him, maybe a bit of extra bounce. He basically took the leading edge and it flew up to mid-off, and that is the end of Shane Snyder. But what a terrific hand, and he's getting a really good ovation here, and his third 70 of the season. In the end, it was an indeterminate stroke. I'd say it's a leading edge. He was trying to hit it away over mid-wicket, and it's just sort of flown really in the opposite direction to which he was intending, and flown up towards mid-off. But 222 for 9. Wheel took the catch. Kevin to come back in after a few words from Dick.
Yep, thanks Nick very much. Yep, so yeah, a face-saving innings may not prove to be a match-winning innings, but certainly a face-saving innings, because Essex could have been bowled out very cheaply indeed. As it is, they've reached 222, the heights of which seemed very unlikely at one stage in the first hour or so of play this morning, when the Hampshire bowlers were really getting the better of Essex. So it's going to be Abbott to continue. He has just one delivery of this over left, bowling from the Hayes close end, and bowling to Sam Cook, because although under previous regulations the batsman could have crossed in the while the ball was in the air, well, they still could have crossed, but it would have still, but nowadays it's still the incoming batsman who takes the first delivery. An innovation which started, I think, in the competition which shall not be named, but is actually, spread to other forms. Except, I don't think it's in Test cricket. I noticed in the Test match on Saturday when I was watching, I think somebody was out to a skyer, and the new batsman still didn't face the new delivery, the next delivery rather. So 224, 222. If the late great David Shepherd were umpiring, he'd be hopping around on one foot now. But, did you ever play in David Shepherd's era, I suppose?
I'm not sure I did, no. No. He was an umpire, I think, when I was...
Oh, yes, I meant as...
Yeah, sorry, oh, yeah, when he was umpire, yes. Oh, hello.
Well, I'll carry on then. That was, yeah, slogged away. Well, it seems a bit unfair to call it a slog. It was a controlled shot out to deep mid-wicket by Aaron Beard for 4.
And if he's decided to do a Shane Snyder at the end.
Yes.
To get a few
Well,
runs
Cook's
quickly.
no mug. Well, yeah, that almost goes without saying. Now, there aren't many, if any, real rabbits on the county scene now.
Well, Cook averages 9 in his career, so I'm going to take that with a bit of a pinch of salt.
And Aaron Beard goes for his shots again. He's picked up 4 more. No, he hasn't. He's picked up 2 more down towards the sycamore tree at third man. An involuntary shot, but never mind. Got off the edge, and it's, as I said earlier in the day, it's how many that...
They signal 4? No.
No, I don't think so.
Or was he just telling the batter to get off? I think the umpire was just telling the batter to get off then, because he was definitely, you know, in that sort of almost like a fall-like manner, waving the batter away from the danger area, I think.
Yes, no, I'm sure that wasn't full. And Next delivery. Oh, and wow. Well, this is 6. It's going to clatter into the stand at this end, the Riverside stand. Just a matter of 10 yards to our left. A lot of cheering going on. Oh, one of the assembled company goes and retrieves the ball. So.
Felt like a Friday night here for a minute.
Yes, I wonder what on earth had happened. So Dawson getting a bit of stick on the 6-2-6. He may well have the last laugh, admittedly. Although, I don't know, 4-2-6 it says on there. That can't be right, 4-2-6. The first one was definitely a 6, wasn't it? Oh, I'm not sure. 4-2-6 it says now.
Well, he's certainly playing as though. I'm sure Sam Cooke is as good as you say, but he's playing as though there's nobody at the ring.
Yes, yeah. Goes on the back foot now and carves it away for 4 more through deep extra cover off the back foot. So Aaron Beard moves on to 33.
Well, I don't know if Dawson thought he was coming down the wicket there, but that was that said hit me really, didn't it?
It did rather, yeah. 2 more deliveries left of this over. And it's going to move in a field change, sees a leg slip, or no, a fine leg. Kyle Abbott going down to short fine leg at sort of 45 degrees. And again, Aaron Beard's come down the wicket and somewhat inevitably holds out at long off for a valuable 33, leaving Sam Cooke not out naught, and Essex finish on 238, all out.
Well, that was entertaining, wasn't it?
It was, wasn't it? Yes. Yeah, it was very entertaining.
He certainly looked like a man on a mission in that over.
Yes, he
And
did.
Iron Donald, the catcher, by the way.
All right, thank you. Yeah, we'll just run down the scorecard for the benefit of those who aren't fully acquainted with the situation. Once I can get it up on the screen or on the phone. If I can find it. Essex versus... No, that's not today. Oh dear, oh Lord. Anyway, 238 all out is the final score, and well, as I say, it's very much better than it looked as if it was going to be at one stage, and I'm now having trouble getting this up.
Well, while you're doing that, I can tell you that the last 3 wickets put on 133.
Did they really?
Which, from being 105 for 7 when Wesley fell at 2:30 this afternoon, it's not a bad comeback at all, is it really?
No, it's not.
And chiefly, shall I help you out?
Yeah, could you do it, please? I
Yeah,
can't
that's
get it up.
right, yeah.
It automatically stops at last Friday's matches, which aren't much
That's
use
right.
to man or beast.
Well, Snyder coming in at number 9. One innings from him, 71 off 73 balls. And when he was out with a score at 2-2-2 for 9, then Aaron Baird started playing more positively, it has to be
Yes.
said, although he finished with 33 off 48. And he was the last man to go. Snyder, the man before him. Those were the 2 wickets that fell after tea, 194 for 8. But there were 2 crucial 50-run partnerships. One for the 9th wicket, 58 between Baird and Snyder, and for the 8th wicket between Snyder and Simon Harmer. A couple of 40-plus partnerships before that for the 6th wicket between Wesley and Adam Rossington, who made 22, and this morning 40 between Wesley and Paul Walter out for 24. So 238 all out. Essex were in trouble at various stages. 16 for 3 they were this morning, and then lost a couple of wickets between 103 and 105. They were 105 for 7 at one stage, but Snyder and Baird pulling them out of a bit of a hole and giving them what looks to be a reasonable score on this surface. Bowled out in the 72nd over for 238. Chief wicket takers for Hampshire, Kyle Abbott with 3 for 41 from 19, 3 for 71 off 18.5 for Liam Dawson. A couple of wickets for Ian Holland, who had at one stage 2 for 8 from 4 overs this morning. Wasn't used this afternoon and then became expensive this evening. 2 for 27 from 6, and a wicket each for Keith Barker, 1 for 46 off 17, 1 for 37 off 10 Brad Wheel, and Felix Organ just 1 over of off spin, 1 over, none for 4.
Yes, well, I mean, the fact that Essex tail, or lower middle order and tail, did wag considerably is very encouraging from the Essex point of view, but does it also suggest that whereas at one stage the likes of Harmer might have been looking at the wicket thinking, oh, I can't wait to have a bowl on it, did it get easier and easier to accommodate the getting of those lower order runs, I wonder?
I think the ball being older played
Yes.
a huge part in that, taking nothing away from Snater or from Baird. Absolutely nothing, because I thought they played brilliantly, Snater especially. First batter that really came in and took the attack to the bowlers, and you could see Hampshire just hit off their length for a little while.
Yes.
So I think there's a little bit of that. I think there is still a little bit in the pitch from time to time. Whether Dawson's getting a load of turn, I'm not sure really. I think the odd one's just biting a bit and straightening. He might just have seen one turn, an inch or two. It's certainly there. There's no doubt about it. Whether it's there every ball, I don't think so. But it's there if you get the ball in the right areas often enough.
Yes. So, assuming that, which one likes to hope that the Essex opening attack do bowl in a disciplined manner, then you think the Hampshire openers will still face a little bit of a challenge.
Oh, definitely. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh, yeah. And and they've got their own challenges wherever they go, because most of the openers that they come up against are all averaging 30 odd plus. And Hampshire at the moment are stuck with 2 openers that average in the 20s. You've got Felix Organ averaging 21 career. You've got Ian Holland averaging 25 in their career. So they've got lots to prove.
Yes.
Still, no less to the county and their supporters, but just generally, wherever they're going. So, at the moment, Hampshire's openers are frail. As you go down the order, it looks a lot stronger. But getting off to good starts is not something you often see.
Right. And where will James Vince bat?
Well, he'll come in at 4.
4. Right.
Gubbins will bat 3. He was having a good season. Got runs here, didn't he, in the second innings against the touring New Zealanders to help the first-class counties 11 win the game.
Yes, that's right.
He's having a good season, Nick Gubbins. A couple of hundreds already for him. But the batting looks more solid the more you get into it.
Yeah. Well, Harmer's just having some practice deliveries, but on an adjacent strip about 1, 2, 3, 4 away, and he's getting a heck of a lot of turn. But that's a rather different kettle of fish.
Don't watch that.
Very different kettle of fish from what he's going to be bowling, or the pitch he's going to be bowling on shortly. Well, maybe not shortly, in an hour or so, perhaps. Snater's also warming up with him as well, and well, he needs to bowl straighter than that, because that one was out of the reach of the coach, and the ball has gone disappearing down to the far end. Anyway, the match hasn't resumed yet. Probably another 3 or 4 minutes before they do come out. Still, the crowd are hanging on, as you would expect on a glorious summer Sunday afternoon or early evening, 4:45-ish. And as we were alluding to, well, more than alluding, saying earlier on, Sunday afternoon cricket used to be very, very popular with the days of the 40-over competition, and where it did only take half a day, which was the great thing about that.
Was, wasn't it?
Yes, I mean, yeah, you didn't have to, as a spectator, you didn't have to give up the whole of your Sunday to go and watch cricket. You could. Whoever wore the metaphorical trousers in the house, you could say to him, or you could say to, well, yes, no, okay, I'll dig the garden or wash the dishes or do something in the morning, but I'm just going to cricket after lunch. She'd say, yes, okay, have a nice time.
And I'll be back before 7.
Yes, that's right. But, Sam Cook now seems to be joining the practice session and wearing a white floppy hat.
Now, I know that, what's his name over there? I've forgotten his name off the top of my head.
Who?
The ex-fast bowler, England and Surrey.
Oh, Jeff...
Jeff Arnold.
Jeff Arnold,
My
yes.
God, I was talking to him before the start of the game and I forgot his name there. Just had a senior moment. And he's here as a scout.
Yes.
Yes, and having a look at 1 or 2 bowlers.
Hampshire
Maybe
bowlers
one.
or Essex bowlers?
Well, chiefly, I think he's looking at 1 Essex bowler, and mentioned another Hampshire bowler in the same sentences.
Yeah.
So I guess he's going to get a look at both.
Yes. Yeah, very amenable fellow, being
Yeah,
naturally
it's
away
good
in
lad,
there.
Horse. Yeah. I don't know why he's called Horse.
Oh, because his initials are GG.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've asked that before and been told that, and my
Yes. Yep, GG. But, yeah, I went for a wander around the ground when I'm off air, which I often choose to do, keep the blood flowing, and inevitably, yeah, when you've been doing this job long enough, it takes you much longer than you think it's going to, because umpteen people want to stop and have a chat, which I'm always willing to do.
You are.
Always.
Yeah, I've always said that about you.
Always.
Yeah.
Unless, you know, I did say to the last one, you know, well, you know, yeah, it's nice to talk to you, but, you know, I'm due on air in another 27 seconds, so I better get back. But, oh, good grief, yes, I mean, it's the public that support the county, and to a large extent the public that support our broadcasts. So if they want to stop and have a natter, provided you've got 5 or 10 minutes, then, yeah, why not? And, so, very well. I expect representatives of any of the 18 counties could say this, but you know, there is a group of very, very, very loyal supporters to the county who, you know, through high days and holidays, good weather and bad, even when it's, you know, been a rain break, and you know deep down there's not going to be any more play today, they'll still sit there under their umbrellas until eventually it's officially called off.
True, wasn't it?
It is incredible. Yeah, and as I say, I'm sure Hampshire and all the other counties have similar groups of very keen supporters. So the batsmen are now making their way out to the middle, followed by the Essex side. The umpires have already been out there. Martin Saggers and Chris Watts. Former Essex and England spinner Peter Such is the cricket liaison officer, as he's known now.
Formerly of this parish?
Formerly of this parish, and Notts and Leicester.
Yes.
And when he was playing here, formed a formidable partnership with John Childs.
Yes. Don't I know about it?
Often down at towards the end of the season, when it was Colchester week, they used to.
Oh.
Oh, you've experienced Colchester, haven't you?
I've experienced Colchester, the good and the bad. In fact, the bad actually. I don't think I think I played at least once, and I remember we went round the park for 600 and something. Yeah, that was fun. Boiling hot day.
I know you've commentated from there, because I've recorded.
Yes.
In fact, I think maybe the first time you've been down there as a commentator, we broadcast via something called an ISDN. And you said, where's the ISDN point? And I said, oh, it's halfway up that tree. And you didn't believe me.
No. Here's Sam Cook then from the Hayes Close end outside the off stump. And you were right. He's bowling to Felix Organ. And yeah, I don't think it was a ladder. I think we almost had to climb up a pole to stick the thing in a box.
Quite unbelievable, yes. It's literally halfway up a tree.
It was. Yeah. Not now, though, is there? I can't remember. I haven't been there now for a few years. I did commentate there about.
Well, of course.
It was a Division 2 game, I remember, one year.
Yeah,
2013 or something.
It's not used now, of course.
Is it not? Is that it? Is it all over?
Well, I mean,
drive,
for
not
county
time.
cricket, well, I think deep down it probably is. You know, the official line is, you know, we may well return one day.
One of those, yeah.
Yes, yeah, we'll believe it.
Every year you say, well, we might go back this year.
Yeah, there goes Father Christmas. Yeah.
Not even a 50-over game there?
No.
No.
No, I can't remember when the last game was. It's at Colchester Castle Park.
They used to lock the gates there, didn't they, at a certain time? That was bounced,
Oh,
but
that
left
did
alone.
bounce,
Yeah,
didn't it?
bounced, left alone by Organ. I remember used to, oh, well, mind you, I know it was Castle Park, but the actual park was just a bit the other side, wasn't it, in terms of what was closed and what wasn't? Because I remember I used to seeing a sign on the gate. I remember the first time I turned up there, they said a sign on the gate saying, this gate will be closed from 7 o'clock, and I thought, probably still playing at that.
Yes.
But I think it was the other part of the park.
Yes, I
wasn't it?
think so. Yes. Yes, it's the north park of the part of the park.
Yes.
The south of the castle is all.
Here's Cook, right arm over. That's outside the off stump, left alone. What have we got now? Because we had a very old aircraft going.
Well, that was a
earlier.
formation of 3. I think they were RAF planes. I think they had those old roundels on them. So they're probably. I'm not an aircraft spotter.
They're not.
Well, I mean, not an aircraft spotting enthusiast. I see them a lot because they fly over our house on the way to Southend Airport.
All right.
Not that that's as busy as it was pre-COVID,
No.
but pre-COVID they were every 10 minutes or so,
Were they?
especially at this time of year.
Straighter. Organ's pushing forward, back to the bowler. Yeah, I've flown from Southend. In my school days, went over to Holland.
You did what? Sorry.
We flew from Southend Airport, so I have
Oh,
actually
yeah.
used those facilities
Yeah.
years ago. Didn't even know Southend Airport existed in those days.
No. Well, it had a revitalisation when the budget airlines
Did it?
chose to go there, but they haven't yet really gone back since COVID.
Cook again as that edged first slip, and he's taken it at the second attempt. Oh, that's a really good catch from Alistair Cook. It bounced in and bounced out, and then he just dived behind himself and got the ball one-handed. He'll enjoy that. The crowd have enjoyed that. You can hear that, I'm sure. And Felix Organ goes, I'm afraid, for no score.
And unlike lots of slip catches, which almost go so quickly you can't see what's happening, that was almost as if it were in slow motion, or the second part of it, because, as Kevin said, you know, the Cook parried it up, and then you could see it hanging in the air, and Cook desperately trying to get under it, which he just managed to do. It was, yeah, highly entertaining stuff.
Caught Cook, bowled Cook, and I'm sure that has been the case on many occasions
Oh,
here.
it has indeed, yes.
And Hampshire on 0 for 1.
Certainly not a case of too many Cooks. It's,
If you've got a batter cook, if you've got a batter cook, that really would. That would be
Yeah.
too many cooks.
yes, yes.
Well, we haven't had that yet, I suppose.
No, no.
Can't think of any other cooks. So I told you, I said, didn't I? Unfortunately, Hampshire's opening partnerships tend to not last very long. And that has just lasted 1 over. They've got
Yes.
real problems in the opening batting department. They really have, I'm afraid. It's not huge problems, but when you look at the overall strength of the side, the way the side is playing, it's just an area that's not quite keeping up with
Yeah.
the standards of elsewhere.
Well, that was the last ball of the over, so it's going to be Snyder bowling now, and he'll be bowling to Holland. Right arm round the wicket to the right-handed Holland. Moves in now past umpire Watts, bowls. He gets the thick inside half of it, and it goes out to short leg. Can you remind me of Holland's first name, please?
Ian Holland.
Ian Holland, thank you, yes, of course it is.
So Shane Snater, eh? Got a red ball in his hand, and not a white one. I bet he's happy about that.
Yeah.
Gosh, didn't they take a pummeling the
Yes.
Dutch people last week? He'd have been pleased that in one of the innings he's bowled 3.1 overs, 0 for 26. Got let off lightly.
Yes, he certainly did. And, well, that squares up the batsman, who looked to be trying to play it out on the onside. It finished up going out into the covers, where it's fielded by Aaron Beard, who batted splendidly at the lower part of the innings for 33, I think it was, before he holed out to long off. So it's been a thoroughly entertaining day's cricket played in glorious weather. And at some stages the bat has been in the better position. That's outside the off stump, allowed to go through to the keeper, and probably at more stages the bowlers have had the upper hand, but it's fluctuated from time to time. That's the essence of what makes a good day's cricket. Well, it's the essence of what makes sport, really. It's the unpredictability of sport that keeps us going back to watch it more and more. box. You knew exactly what was going to happen every time. Be deserted. As Snyder moves in. Hair a billowing and angled in from fairly wide in the crease, that looked to me, and it's played confidently and competently out to mid-on. It's fielded by skipper Tom Wesley.
17 wickets at 22 apiece, Shane Snyder in this year's championship competition.
Yeah, yes, he's having a good season with bat and ball. Emerged virtually from nowhere. And I'm not quite sure how he qualifies for playing for Holland, but I've long since given up trying to understand these sort of things. As he moves in now and bowls, and it's just played out on the back to the bowler.
He's a bit like Van der Merwe, isn't he, in
Yes.
Somerset? You know, they are
Yeah.
sort of effectively South African.
Yes. Yes, quite. Yes, I don't expect it's Dutch that's spoken in the dressing room at all. Well, if it is, then more than half of
Afrikaans,
it
might be Afrikaans.
could be. A bit like Glamorgan once. As allegedly, as Snyder moves in and bowls, and that's what worked away on the onside for a couple of runs, probably, if not more. It might run away down the hill to down the slope to the boundary.
Yes.
In fact, it does. Yes, it's quite deceptive, that slope, and it once it gets over a certain ridge, then it does run away towards that long on boundary for 4 runs. So. The score moves on to 4. Well, I say moves on. That was the first scoring shot. 4 for 1.
Yep. So another disappointing start from the Hampshire openers. Sam Cooke taking his 22nd wicket with that wicket of Felix Organ this season, averaging just under 19. It's not a bad return. His economy rate's less than 2 and over as well. So even when he's not taking wickets, he's not going for too many runs either.
No.
He's a much improved bowler as well to me. I did say to somebody earlier on today that I saw him bowling the T20s for the first time this season, really, and I just thought he'd put on about half a yard
Yes.
of pace as well. So I always thought he was a good bowler without much pace, and it's a little bit quicker now as he comes in and bowls, and Gubbins edges into the ground. It's fielded in the gully by Dan Lawrence.
Well, I would imagine he's one of those that Jeff Cooke has a particular interested eye on at the moment.
Yeah. If Jeff Cooke was here, Jeff Arnold is the man that's here.
Did I say Jeff Arnold?
You said Jeff Cooke. Unfortunately, Jeff Cooke's not with us at all.
No.
Sadly passed away, didn't he, a couple of
Yes,
years
that's
ago
right.
up at
Yeah.
Durham.
Jeff Arnold, sorry.
Sorry?
At least I didn't say Jeff Boycott.
No. He's certainly not here.
No.
As Gubbins punches up towards mid-on and there's no run.
We'd certainly know if he was.
Yeah, he'd be pulling the techniques apart, wouldn't he?
Yes.
All day. And never usually wrong, to be fair to him.
Oh, good Lord, no. No, I've got a... Yeah, there's a part of me that has a great deal of respect for Jeff Boycott, and a part of me that doesn't as well. Well, I think that's probably the reaction most people have, actually.
Yeah.
Very complex character. Very complex.
Here's Cooke again, bowls, and Gubbins forward. Plays that out into the covers. Now, Martin in Holland, so we were just talking about the Netherlands, weren't we? Has tweeted at Summit Sport. I don't know if you're talking about the old plane that just went over. We didn't see it, or I didn't see it, but there was one earlier. But he said the old plane was a B-17 USA bomber flying from Duxford, and it's since landed back there. So he's obviously keeping a flight monitor on those.
Yeah, there's a big aircraft museum at Duxford, just a few miles south of Cambridge.
Oh, right, right.
Very popular, especially on a summer Sunday afternoon, I should think. Sunny summer afternoon.
Round the wicket now, Cooke from the Hayes close end runs towards us and bowls full, and Gubbins works that away through mid-wicket, and that's 4. 2 over pitch there from Sam Cooke, and Nick Gubbins, who's, as I said earlier, is having a pretty decent season. With that 4 runs, moves on to, well, that's his opening gambit, actually. That boundary, close to 550 runs for the season, averaging nearly 55.
So both players get off the mark with a 4 through mid-wicket.
I'm off at the end of the over. Didn't realise how quickly it had gone. I was enjoying myself so much there. Dickie. time has flown.
It does.
Here's Cook again, just under 20 overs remain in the day. As Gubbins is forward, thick outside edge as it goes to backward a point, and there's no run.
I remember, just getting back to Boycott, before I was commentating, which must be, in that case, 30 years ago or so, he was here commentating from the far end. They had a box up there.
Okay.
And I just bought his book, and I thought, oh, I'll get it signed. But I don't want to interrupt him during the day, so I'll wait till the close of play. And I waited at the bottom of the stairs at close of play, and sure enough, he came down. And I asked him to sign his book. I'll make this quick because you're off in a minute.
Well, you can still talk anyway. Length ball is beaten outside the off stump. That's a great ball to finish off Cook's over. 8 for 1, Hampshire replying to that Essex all-out total of 238.
And littered with 1 or 2 expletives, he said, what jolly time of day do you call this? I've been here all day, and you wait till now, 6:30. I said, well, I didn't want to interrupt you when you were on air. So he said, no, fair enough. And then he gave the impression he was in a hurry, and then hung around for about 10 minutes regaling me with stories of Fred Truman at Yorkshire. Very, very complex man. Jeff Boycott. There are lots of people to whom they say he's a one-off, and often it's inappropriate, but I think in Boycott's case it probably is or was. Is it totally appropriate? And that's just played defensively. Snyder still bowling from the river end. Well, understandably, it's only his second over after all. And Nick's now just plugging himself in if he can get the microphone turned round properly. Yep, and yeah, I was just saying it's been a really interesting day. Hasn't it?
It has.
Really
still
interesting.
convinced that Hampshire missed a trick by not having Joe Weatherly open.
As Snyder moves in, bowls. And that's just played defensively by Holland. Pushes it out on the onside, no addition to the score.
Felix Organ, victim of a juggling catch from Alistair
Yes.
Cook. For me, the key man is Gubbins. When he does well, Hampshire tend to do well, and if he bats through to the close, then assuming not too much damage is done at the other end, then Hampshire will feel relatively comfortable, but slightly precarious position at the moment for them.
Snyder to Holland. Holland takes the bat away at the last minute. Play goes onto the front foot, but then, as players do now, just takes the bat out of the line of fire. It goes through harmlessly to wicketkeeper Nick Rossington. Adam Rossington, sorry, I don't know why I said Nick. Adam Rossington.
Interesting, talking of Rossington, interesting contribution from Andy Horrocks on our emails. We read out the Essex Batsman Championship run totals, talking about how close Snyder was to being second.
And that's short of a length, and the batsman shoulders arms, it goes through to the wicketkeeper.
And it's just highlighted the need for Adam Rossington to maybe contribute in both formats, perhaps a little bit more, because we did mention he got that valuable innings, not a lot of runs, but at Taunton to help get Essex over the line. But he maybe just lacked the big score. But if you look at his overall stats, it's probably sort of in line with what he does normally in terms of his career.
Next delivery is played pleasantly through mid-wicket. Now, last time I got it wrong, as I said it wouldn't reach the boundary, and this time it doesn't quite, as Tom Wesley gives chase, and they go through for... I was watching the balls, I'm not quite sure how many they did go through for, 2 or 3? 3.
Yeah.
3. And take the score into 11 for 1 at the end of the over.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Rossington, I think, primarily signed with limited overs cricket in mind, particularly the T20, where obviously he's got quite a prolific record, and he's contributed without sort of making the sort of major score for Essex in that format. But yeah, I mean, his overall stats in first-class cricket, 96 games. Snyder going round the wicket, and that's a slightly sliced drive away into the offside, and it's going to be a couple of runs here as it's chased up towards the extra cover boundary. Yeah, top score of 138, 7 first-class centuries in 152 innings. So he's not someone you sort of expect to make the the big score on a regular basis. It does have 33 50s, and I guess that's what Essex supporters will be hoping there are a few more of those along the way. He's got one so far.
Yes, and Rossington did well stick around long enough while Essex scraped home in their first away championship game at Taunton, when Essex narrowly got home by 1 wicket just before lunch, having made very heavy work of chasing, if I remember rightly, about 82 to win, and they lost 9 wickets in the process, and Adam Rossington stayed there.
Yeah, and that was perhaps his most, even though not a lot of runs, it's perhaps his most significant contribution for Essex with the bat, certainly in championship cricket so far.
Is it me or you?
So I'll carry on with this one. There's Cook bowls, and it's outside the off stump, and attempt to push the ball. Push at the ball is initially thought of by Ian Holland, but he keeps his bat out of harm's way for the moment.
So the fact you say I'll do this one, I'll do the rest of it. I'll do the far end.
Yeah.
As Sam Cook with the 1 wicket under his belt, caught at the second attempt by his namesake, it's Alistair. Moves in now. Right arm over the wicket. Bowls, and that's just played down to short leg.
A lot of applause for a dot ball there. There's a lot of aesthetic quality in that delivery. It's got, for some reason, it's encouraged a lot of applause around the ground.
Well, yes. Unless it was for a good bit of fielding, but I think it just sort of hit the fielder at short leg rather than him actually making any positive attempt himself. It was going too quickly for him to be too proactive in that. As Cook moves in again now, just from the shadow of one of the floodlight supports. Moves in now, bowls, and that's played back to the bowler by Holland.
I think with Rossington, I think we might have thought by now he'd probably play sort of one major innings in the T20, and he hasn't done that, to be fair. But he has contributed pretty well at times. I think he played well in the first game that we saw at Canterbury, from what I can remember. They got a 30 odd the other night, and I mean, hopefully a few more 50s are on the way from him.
Cook to Holland. And again just takes his bat away at the last moment. Goes through to wicketkeeper Rossington. I can't pretend to have followed Rossington's career, all the time he's been playing professional cricket, but I just seem to remember him in televised T20 games when he played for Lords, playing some very attacking and aggressive and innings to great effect. Yeah,
and that's, I think, primarily why Essex like the look of him as they have a chance to sign him.
As Cook moves in again to Holland, and Holland plays that pleasantly and confidently and competently out to Aaron Beard at mid-off.
As it's turned out, of course, Dick, as we were reflecting one of our previous commentaries, it's actually been the middle order engine room that's really contributed the most to the Essex T20 effort in terms of Pepper and Critchley and Walter.
Yes, quite.
But perhaps overwhelmingly so, you might say.
Yeah. Cook again, 3 slips and a gully, keeping Rossington company. And that's just played defensively again. It trickles out to Aaron Beard at mid-off. No addition to the score. End of the over with Hampshire 13 for 1. Cook, that was a maiden over. Cook having taken 1 for 4.
England 74 for 2 in the Test match, and they need a further 222 to win, but the wickets run out, and 1 to Bracewell, Zach Crawley for 25, Alex Lee's out for 9, Ollie Pope has 30 and Joe Root has 4, so 74 for 2, further 222 required by England. Of course, New Zealand don't have a specialist, we call real frontline spinner. Michael Bracewell is sort of more of an all-rounder, bowling his off spin. He's got a wicket already, although quite expensive, going at 7s and over. So Snyder with 3 slips of gully, a cover point, a mid-off, a mid-on and a mid-wicket bowls, and that's driven very nicely down the ground by Gubbins for 4. That really was an excellent shot. Got to the pitch of it and drove it away very sweetly. And for me, he's the absolute key here. Obviously, there's Vince to come, but you look at when Gubbins does well, Hampshire tend to do well, even if the openers don't get many runs. And he's made a pretty good start and looks to be a man in form.
Yes, he does. So it sounds as if England still continue to have trouble with getting a settled opening pair.
Yes, as Snyder bowls. What a beauty of a delivery.
That was a heck of a
Beat him
delivery.
outside the off stump. He's playing at that. Nice piece of bowling from Shane Snyder. Yes, I think at least I think this was after a run out, but
Was he? Oh,
yeah,
well,
a sort of ordinary game for him, but he's impressed people, I think, generally during the series. And Zach Crawley not quite managing to emulate that 267 he got against Pakistan.
no.
I think Rory Burns might get another go at some point if he can carry on churning out the runs for Surrey. As Snyder bowls, well pitched up and driven without timing up towards mid-on. There's Wesley and there's no run. So Hashim Amla somehow managed to get himself out at the Oval for 124, not quite sure how, but Surrey a 341 for 3 with Ben Geddes 105 not out, and Jamie Smith on 32 against beleaguered Kent. And that is a career best for the Epsom-born man. As this one is sliced away past third slip for 4. Not a particularly controlled shot that, but he kept it down. And it runs away for 4. And Hampshire now go along to 21 for 1 with Gubbins on 14, Holland on 7. And earlier Essex in the end getting to a respectable score, getting a batting point. But 238 all out. It'll be interesting to see, say by lunchtime tomorrow, how good that looks.
Yes, indeed.
Quite an important period of play here. 16 overs to go after this. 3 slips in the gully waiting. Snyder goes round the wicket and bowls. That's clipped. That's a lovely shot, indicating a man in great form. Just taking that off the pad. It was over pitched and put it away for 4. And so as soon as I came on air, I made the point that this is a big wicket because this guy he's been in great touch, and as I say, Essex, if they could get him tonight and get Vince in, that would be a real bonus. But he's had a couple of plays and misses, but he has looked like a man in prime form. Is Snyder to bowl to him, and he comes right forward and again deals with that very well. Head right over the ball, just playing it up into the offside. Yeah, averaging well almost 55 now with 2 centuries and 2 50s. So 549 runs at the last count, which is a couple of moments ago. And let's have a look and see who are leading run scorers in the first division at the moment. Well, Ben Compton, of course, almost out on his own, and then Harry Brook. Gubbins currently in 5th place, and closing in on Mark Burgess for Warwickshire, who of course got almost a third of his runs in 1 knock against Essex.
Yes.
It's 25 for 1.
And it's Sam Cook from the far end, from the Hayes Close end, moves in, bowls, played out on the onside to short leg, fielding under the helmet, a matter of, I don't know, half a dozen yards from the bat, a bit more than that, 5 yards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a little bit more than that. Still a good crowd here on a Sunday evening. In fact, the Tom Pearce stand has thinned out a little bit, as you'd expect, it now being getting on. That's worked way backward of square for a single by Holland. And now being 5:15. Yes, so few people have made their way home, understandably.
Yeah, and a day that has had fluctuating fortunes. A very good day's cricket for the spectators. Essex 16 for 3 at one point, and then equally dire, you could say, 105 for 7 when Tom Wesley was out. But then Shane Snyder inspired the recovery with 71 from 73 balls, 2 6s and 7 4s. And Aaron Beards, 33 from 48 balls.
Yes, that was the surprise knock, really. We know what Snyder can do, but oh, that's a super shot. Yeah, as if to amplify or rather endorse what Nick's been saying. Yes, Nick Gubbins looks like a man bang in form. Just drill that through mid-off. And one of those shots that the moment bat meets ball, you know you haven't got to go to the effort of trying to run to the other end because you know it's going to be 4. And the ball just bounces over the advertising hoardings, advertising the sponsor for this competition, the County Championship. And it's now been retrieved. And Cook moves in again and bowls to Gubbins, who goes onto the back foot and just plays it defensively, trickles out on the onside. Fielded by Tom Wesley at mid-on.
Thank you, John. I'll show Dick this email. He can just about Jeff Boycott. And yes, you're not a fan either, John. I think it's fair to say. But thank you very much for that. You're talking about seeing Jeff being asked to sign autographs.
Yes, thanks for that. I didn't. He used his phrase "bad mouth." I didn't mean to bad mouth Jeff Boycott. As I say, I certainly have an aspect of tremendous respect for him. You certainly can't have anything but respect for him as a cricketer, and indeed as a pundit and as a commentator. But, well, none of us is perfect.
I think he had a bit of a reputation at one point in that respect. I think it's fair to say.
No, that's outside the off stump, and Gubbins, well, just sort of ignores it really, doesn't even play a leave, just watches it go by.
I suppose the thing about sportsmen and autograph hunters, always sign them when you're on your way up, because you'll appreciate them when you're on the way.
Yes, that's right.
Brian says, Shane Snater's great effort to rescue Essex from a rather fraught start today reminded me of a few similar innings and players who would not recognise top order batsmen that got Essex out of problems. And Adam Wheater springs to mind of current players, but you recall James Riddlebrook, Andy Bickle, yes, John Charles, if memory serves me right, and a few more. So yes, those Neil Foster, I guess, would be another good call there. Just one for me to add, someone who was capable of getting runs, and yeah, interesting.
Yes. And only in the 8th over we see Simon Harmer coming to the attack.
Well, it probably wasn't going to be a lot longer than 8 overs. And obviously what happens early on here, he's got Gubbins left-handed to bowl at. That might be another factor. They'll see how well Gubbins is playing against the seamers. Yes,
and Harmer does like bowling to left-handers, moving the ball away from the bat.
Slip, a short leg, leg gully as he bowls. Oh, and the first one certainly does bounce and turn, and it traps Gubbins.
Holland.
Yeah, Holland rather in the mid-drift there. Let's have a little look at that. Yeah, it sort of just bounced up to him high on the pads. So 3 round the bat, and well, 4 saving 1 as he just props forward here. It's rather uncomfortable. Again, just pops off the pad into the onside close cordon. For Hampshire today, 3 wickets for Kyle Abbott, 3 for 41 in 19 overs, and 3 for Liam Dawson, 3 for 71 in 18.5, 2 for Ian Holland in the space of 3 balls. And he's now on strike, and looking at, I have to say, a little bit frenetic against Harmer. That one, he sort of was going down the pitch, and then he was sort of swaying a bat at it, and it's gone away for a run. I don't think it is. I think it is credited to the batsman, that, so he must have got some sort of touch on that as it went past leg gully. But to say that he's looking comfortable and secure would be probably incorrect at this point.
Yes, it was a shot born of desperation, to my mind. He'd already been beaten twice, and well, effectively thrice now.
So this is going to be interesting. So a key battle, this Gubbins against Harmer, with 14.5 overs left in the day.
Yep, 2 slips, a short leg.
Short extra cover. 3 saving 1 on the offside, 2 on the leg side. Gubbins onto the back foot, gets one, just keeps it a bit low and chops it away towards that short extra, and there's no run. So how good is this 238 going to be? Harmer bowls to Gubbins, who just props forward. What a beauty. That spun and beat him outside the off stump.
Oh yes, this is going to be fun. Harmer's already enjoying himself against the left-hander.
Yeah, and probably more so than on the previous Chelmsford pitches he's played on. Can't remember if he played the first game, but he certainly didn't enjoy much of the pitches. That's a bounce and a bit of turn. And, well, that one Gubbins did keep inside the line of it, but goodness me. Just having another look at that last ball. Again, certainly some bounce, and, yeah, definite bounce there. He realised that wasn't going to need him to play a shot, but if memory serves me right, I think he might have still been with South Africa on the first game.
I think he
against
was,
Kent,
yes,
so,
I'm pretty
but
sure.
But certainly neither of the two subsequent pitches suited him.
Yes.
This one looks like it might do. 31 for 1, but a bit of a partnership for Hampshire because these two came together with 0 for 1. Gubbins 22, Holland 9.
Yes. And Cook from the Hayes Close end to continue. This will be his 5th over. So far conceded only 9 runs, 1 for 9. Taken the wicket of Organ, caught the second attempt, if not third, by Alistair Cook at first slip. As Cook moves in, bowls to Holland, and Holland steers that round the corner for 1. They'll easily come back for a second as it goes out to square leg, deep square leg. And 2 more runs augment the score to 33 for 1.
Yeah, we've got 13 overs to go after this one.
Cook in again. 4 slips now, lurking, ever eager, waiting for the edge. Just played out in the offside. Yeah, the slips being Cook, then Harmer, then Brown, and then Lawrence. And Cook, S, moves in again, bowls. Loud appeal for LBW, and Godspeed with the approval of the umpire, and Hampshire up 33 for 2. We're not in a position to judge, but it did seem as if he walked right into that. Almost everybody appealed, and umpire Staggers, I don't think, was tested too much to raise his finger for that one.
Yeah, and yeah, that looked pretty comprehensive around about middle and leg. I think not too much movement in the way forward, certainly. And just having another look at that one from Cook. Yeah, rather just trapped him in front. He was on the move, but not really going forward, and certainly heading towards middle and leg. So the very in-form James Vince, I think, will now be walking out, and clearly we're coming up to a crucial period here because Hampshire's game plan will be for these two to be there in the morning, and any further wickets now for Essex are a real bonus, and actually could start to tilt the overall day in their favour if they can make any further breakthrough really from this point, because given the batsman at the crease, so coming up towards a pretty significant period in proceedings, I suspect.
Yes.
Vince, then Dawson, Brown, and Aaron Donald, Keith Barker, James Fuller, Carl Abbott, and Brad Wheels. So Hampshire 33 for 2, Essex made 238, and taking a, yeah, we go. He's out there, and you just feel that this now a really critical part of the day, and possibly
Of the match.
Yes. Because a breakthrough here could maybe produce more, with the Harmer having just come on. But these two, albeit of course Vince most recently in T20 cricket, are in pretty fine touch.
Yes, as Cook moves in and bowls, and that's played with authority right from the word go by Vince, just pushing it out into a gap on the onside. They go through for a single, and the fielders, especially the slips, change over sides to accommodate the left-handed Nick Gubbins, formerly of Middlesex.
Yep, that's right. Sort of picked up by Hampshire sort of midway through last season. He almost played in both games of the Cheltenham Festival for different sides against Gloucestershire, but not quite. I think it was around about the time that he joined Hampshire.
That squares him up a little bit, but he plays it confidently enough in the end. He just trickles out back from the square on the offside.
I think it was, Kevin will correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was a mid-season signing, and I think Middlesex was the other side of Cheltenham last year, and, but he actually had left them by then. But that would have been quite something.
So Cook again, right arm round the wicket to the left-handed Gubbins. Moves in, bowls, and Gubbins goes on the back foot and plays that very confidently and competently, albeit dispensably, and it trickles back to the bowler. No addition to the score. Applause greets an excellent over, which saw the back of Ian Holland. And Hampshire are 34 for 2 in reply to Essex's
238.
238, yes, thank you.
We were talking about the fact that Tom Westley was in second place on leading run scorers for Essex on 312. Hampshire have 4 players who have more than 400 for the season. Dawson, Vince, Brown and Gubbins way out in front on 565. And they've even got Keith Barker, who's more or less got what the 294, which is more or less where most of the Essex batsmen are. So it's fair to say that Hampshire have had more success collectively with the bat than Essex this season. So Vince against Harmer. Fascinating battle late in the day. 238 Essex. Hampshire 34 for 2, and Vince is stumped! Goodness me, he went down the pitch and he was trying to hit that over long on. I think it's only the second ball he's faced, and he's been beaten in the flight and turn, and that's a nice piece of work by Rossington. Goodness me, what a moment that could be.
Well, yes, for a man of James Vince's experience to come down the track to the very first delivery of Harmer, well, it's easy after the event, but it seems imprudent at best. And he's stumped for 1. Now that is a bonus from Essex's point of view.
Really is a remarkable turn of events, because surely the game plan was just to see the day out. Yes, he was just going for a big hit, sort of basically over mid-on,
yes.
And the ball just basically turned. And don't think it bounced prodigiously, and a nice piece of work by Rossington. So 34 for 3 suddenly Hampshire, and this 238, thanks to Snyder in particular, is looking much more valuable than it did earlier in the day. And funnily enough, the last game here, Essex made around about, just a few runs less, something around about 214, 218, and won by an innings. Well, I guess it might be more difficult, because they're going to have to obviously bowl Hampshire out very cheaply to enforce the follow-on. But,
well, yes.
It could be that 238, given the way that Harmer's bowling and suddenly got a pitch to his liking, could prove to be a very useful score.
Well, yes. Well, we're talking about it. 69 would be the figure needed, and they're on 38 for 3. But I think that is counting a whole hen house of chickens before they hatch there.
That really is a surprise. I mean, it's just if Vince was still thinking T20, and if I get it out, there's lots of other guys to come. So
yes.
That really was a surprise.
It was to me.
So here is Harmer to bowl to Dawson, and Dawson does what you might have expected Vince to do, go onto the back foot and just ride any turn and just play it down into the ground, and there's no run. But that has upset the Hampshire game plan. 34 for 3, 204 behind. And Hampshire up against it a little bit now. As a sweep from Dawson, that's well executed actually, it's a fine shot. Just sweeping it on length and hitting it away for 4 to the square leg boundary. 38 for 3. They'll know that actually as the ball gets softer, the seamers will become less effective. And the critical thing is to make sure they're still batting at that point, as Essex profited earlier in the day.
Yes.
38 for 3, but an extraordinary moment that was. As Dawson just goes into line and just clicks that round the corner down towards backward square leg, and there's no run. really was a surprise. Vince not just taking a look at Harmer on this pitch. And there's a good delivery. There's an appeal for, I think, a catch down the leg side, but a bounce there from Harmer. Nothing doing from the umpire. But he's getting drift and turn is Harmer, and bounce. Certainly got a wicket that he likes here. Dawson was forward. Here's Harmer again, bowls to the right-handed Dawson, who this time goes to drive, keeps his back foot behind the line. Rossington whips off the bails. But this is very much like the Essex of the last few seasons on a pitch which is helping Harmer, and that 238 looks a lot better than it might be on another day. 38 for 3 with Gubbins crucial, 22 not out. Dawson 4, and Vince in that over, out second ball, stump for 1. Very, very remarkable.
Yes, indeed. And I'll make way for Kevin very soon. He's just doing his update for BBC Radio Solent. But until he does, I'll describe the action, which still sees Sam Cook bowling from the far end. He'll be bowling to Nick Gubbins, who has 22 to his name. Still 3 slips and a gully, well, 4 slips really, as Cook moves in and bowls. That's just worked well on the side to mid-on, where it's fielded.
Honestly, think that if Essex had just lost Organ and Holland tonight, almost regardless of what the score was, they'd have taken that.
Yeah, I'll do one more delivery, and then Kevin will move into this seat.
Because there is a slight makeshift feel to the opening pair. And the engine room of the batting is here, but to have one of those engines taken out so quickly in Vince is remarkable.
Cook to Gubbins, goes on the back foot, plays it out quietly to mid-off, no addition to the score of 38 for 3.
Well, that's perhaps the moment of the day, and very remarkable one. So England 100 for 2 now, needing a further 196 with Pope 36 and Root 22, and obviously they're really lacking the front line left arm spin of Patel, New Zealand. 38 for 3, and Gubbins just a check drive, looks for a run, it's not there, sent back by Dawson, and there's no run. Just while Kevin's settling in, 1 or 2 other scores. No real change at the Oval, sorry, 378 for 3. So about to get maximum batting points with about 20 overs to spare in that respect. Notts 332 for 4 after 84 overs. Unbeaten 60s for Stephen Mullaney and Lyndon James. That's against Middlesex at the top of Division 2. As, here is Cook bowling to Gubbins, and he just comes forward and plays defensively up into the offside. And there is no run. Northampton 377 for 6 against Warwickshire at Northampton. Gloucestershire at 209 for 5. Bit of a fight back by Lancashire in that one. Chris Dent is 84 not out. Bristol. Those are the key scores from elsewhere. And 1 or 2 other games in Division 2 as well. Here's Cook up to the wicket, bowls, and Gubbins off the bat for place to mid-wicket, and there's no run. Well, at 38 for 3, perhaps the moment of the day, Kevin, and still a little bit shocked by that. What did you make of it?
Well, I'll tell you what, the way we're playing Harmer at the moment, he's going to bowl us out before the end of play tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks. We're making him look like an absolute world beater at the moment. To be fair, he is getting some turn and bounce, but I mean, we just don't look very confident against him.
And here is Cook. Bowls outside the off stump and left alone by Gubbins, who has looked good in his 22. 4 to Dawson, 38 for 3. And yeah, this now sort of damage limitation for the rest of this session, I guess,
Sure.
for Hampshire. I mean, if these two can get through, they're still, 238 is not a mountain, There's still the potential of getting close to it, up to it, beyond it, whatever. But what they must do is make sure they don't give a significant first innings lead to Essex with Harmer in
Well,
the ranks.
definitely. I mean, what, 12 for 61 here in 2019, Simon Harmer. And I tell you what, the way things are at the moment, I wouldn't bet against him not bettering those figures over the course of the game. I mean, to be fair to him, he's bowling some serious balls out there. He finds bounce from nowhere. He finds some turn from nowhere. And the Hampshire guys at the moment, there was one nice sweep shot from Dawson, but that's about all at the moment. Dawson's on the back foot and just plays it out calmly on the offside. But 2 or 3 balls that he's bowled, that bounce. And the Hampshire boys know that he gets that bounce. Yeah. And it's why he's so difficult to play. He looks innocuous, doesn't he, when he bowls, but the ball just sort of balloons from nowhere. That's short, it's in the air and past a diving short leg. See, there's that bounce, and you just think, where's that come from? It didn't bounce as much as perhaps 1 or 2 others that he's bowled. But honestly, it looks like he's going to take a wicket in every over at the moment. And he's only taken 1 of the 3. That's flighted. Dawson's forward, plays it into the ground, fielded at short leg.
Yeah, it could be a big moment in the game. Felt if Gubbins and Vince have been there at the end tonight, it's definitely Hampshire's day, even if they'd lost the openers.
I would be batting at Gubbins' end at the moment if that was me out there. That's flighted and it's played into the ground by Dawson. I would be looking to play Sam Cook between now and the end of the evening. Even though Sam Cook's taken 2 wickets, I would feel more confident batting against him at the moment.
He might get a spell soon, Sam Cook. Introduce Beard.
Here comes Harmer again, flighted. That's bounced. It's off the thigh pad. It's caught the glove. It's caught the bat. I don't know, but it's caught behind by Rossington down the leg side. And there's that bounce again I was talking about. It just comes from nowhere, and it's really difficult to play. And Hampshire are certainly making it look difficult. 38 for 4.
Yeah, and certainly maybe the glove there, but we'll see a replay of that. But again, it's this awkward bounce that Kevin was talking about, and not able to negotiate it at the moment. But Harmer, what a remarkable start, given the fact that he'd had pitches that really weren't helping him at all. I think that's been gloved. I've got a feeling it's the glove there, but nicely taken by Rossington, adjusted well, and Simon Harmer really threatening the sort of chaos that he inflicted on Hampshire a few years ago when these 2 sides last met here. That'll be 2 for 5 now, inside 3 overs.
I mean, at the moment, 238 might as well be 500.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be a handful for the rest of this game. Hampshire cannot afford to get too far behind, because otherwise, unfortunately, and I mentioned it this morning, Hampshire's last 3 visits have been a disaster, really, losing by an innings each time. And from what we're seeing here in this last 15 minutes, I mean, I hate to be a pessimist, and there's a long way to go yet, but it's looking likely again. Harmer just looks unplayable. So the new man for Hampshire is Ben Brown, the Hampshire wicket keeper. And wow, what's he going to do here? Not sure anybody can do anything here against Harmer. As Harmer bowls, Brown's on the back foot, doesn't bounce as much, so he's able to keep it down as it goes out square on the leg side. I've just had a text from one Hampshire supporter that says yikes, and I agree with that. 38 for 4, and we still have something like 11 overs left in the day.
Yeah, you feel there's a bit of a momentum shift really in the afternoon, and Snyder's innings, the partnerships with Beard and with Harmer, and actually it's the Essex bowlers that have set the platform up now for themselves, really. Notably Harmer, thanks to their efforts from the point that Wesley got out, to take the score up to 238, which I say is looking worth a lot more than that at this point. And it's going to be Snyder now from the Hayes close end to basically switch ends, see what he can do from there. Harmer coming on very early on in proceedings, so it could be that Aaron Beard may have to wait till tomorrow, because I can't see basically Snyder coming off. It's going to be Snyder going round the wicket to bowl to Gubbins, and Gubbins leaving that alone outside the off stump, and it goes through to Rossington. So the key to Essex, obviously, in you know, mounting any sort of challenge in this competition, obviously, you know, win your home games, and that has been almost a given in the last few seasons, but the flat pitches they've encountered in the first 3 fixtures have made that impossible. 69 wickets in 3 games, barely getting into the second innings of either side on most occasions. Suddenly we've got a pitch which now is looking very much one that reminds us of the last few years of Snyder bowls, and that's it'll be a single here, which I think is off the bat. We'll wait for the umpire's signal. Just off the pad. Thought there might have been better, but anyway, it's a run to Hampshire, and this deficit has been 200 for some time. It's now 199, 39 for 4.
So Harmer's not got any of that sort of bounce here at all.
No, I mean, if you look at his number of wickets, I mean, it's just worth almost letting you know what his figures have been in the previous games. But basically, the pitches have been feather beds, and basically he's not had a chance to get the sort of purchase that he would have done in the 2 previous games he's played here, because the first one he was with South Africa, I think playing against Bangladesh. But it's just worth looking up his figures actually in the previous games, and say he hasn't had the wickets until Old Trafford. As here, that's nicely played by Brown, a little bit short from Snyder, and just clipped round the corner out towards the aforementioned Aaron Beard, and they come back for the second run. Yeah, it's been the mystery of some, I think possibly Essex being asked to produce pitches which are a little bit more batsman friendly, but it's just gone too much the other way and basically shut bowlers out of the game altogether, more or less, from both sides, and produced not particularly riveting cricket as a result. Well, this has been a riveting day, but say the problem for Hampshire, if they surrender a big first innings lead, then the bowlers won't have had that much of a rest, and then it's going to be difficult. You can then see the scenario might be like an Alistair Cook gets in, and that would make things very difficult for them, as this is driven without timing by Brown off the bottom of the bat into the offside, and there's no run. So a day that had been very much belonging to Hampshire has really sort of turned on its head a little bit. And now certainly you'd say that, well, no doubt about it at the moment, that Essex are in the stronger position.
Definitely.
0 for 81 in 33 overs against Northants.
So he didn't go for many then?
No, but just wasn't getting, you know, the normal sort of purchase. That's outside the off stump and left alone. And that was the only time that Northants batted in the game. And then basically the other game was the Yorkshire match, which followed straight after it, where Yorkshire's only innings was 465 all out, and on that occasion he did get 2 wickets, but he conceded 146 in 47 overs.
He's not going to get near that in 2 innings, is he?
It's amazing, isn't it, the difference? 41 for 4. Snyder with 4 slips bowls, and that one on an inside edge, which goes past Rossington down towards short fine leg, misfield by Beard, and they come back for a second run. He just basically picked that up but didn't take the ball with him there, Aaron Beard. Maybe thinking about whether he's going to get a bowl or not, but he batted very nicely early on, and his knock with the bat actually is quite an important part of the day. 43 for 4. Gubbins has 22 and Brown has 4, and we've got 9 overs left in the day.
Well, I'm sure it's been said many times around here, but there's not many spinners better than him when conditions suit, or even when they half suit. I mean, the bounce and some of the spin he's getting is completely different to what we've been seeing the rest earlier on in the game. Dawson got a little bit, but nothing like this. It's not every ball, but I think in a way that makes it worse.
Yeah, for sure.
It's difficult because the batters want to stand up and play it, and if you do, and the ball bounces on you, then you can't keep it down. And that's what Dawson ended up doing. And Vince, well, he chanced his arm. He was decided he was going to hit Harmer out of the attack, I think. Got deceived in the flight. Here's Harmer outside the off stump to Gubbins. It turns, but he's left alone.
So a handful of wickets really in the first few games, and then the turning point was the last championship match at Old Trafford, where he got 5 for 89 as Essex won by innings in 56.
Round the wicket, Gubbins forward Just spins a little bit as it goes out on the offside.
Which is why if I was South Africa and I've got Harmer in my squad and there's a test match at Old Trafford, which there is, I'd certainly play him in that one.
Yeah, just amazing. I mean, he is good to watch. You know, and I do watch him through gritted teeth sometimes because of what the damage he's done to Hampshire over the last 2 or 3 seasons or so. But it's you know, the flight that he has, you can't sometimes teach. Just fantastic control. Gubbins on the back foot, takes the bat away, but it hits the face of the bat and goes out square on the offside. Honestly, I mean, this pitch is nowhere near a minefield, but it looks like it is. The way that we're playing him and the way he's bowling.
Yes, that's a shot by Vince. We don't know how long Vince would have survived or what his tactics would have been, but I was just so surprised he took that route so quickly against Harmer without having a look at him.
Yeah. Here's Harmer again. He's got 3 on the offside now, and that's come in as well. And Gubbins is trying to find room, cuts it out square on the offside, but the ball followed him. So he's got the added problems there of the ball sort of turning away from him, and then when he thinks it's turning away from him, there's the arm ball from Harmer, and it almost got too close to him to cut. In fact, it was too close to him to cut. He's forward there, and it's hit the glove, and it goes to ground. I think this is just... It's like we're playing on a different pitch. Unbelievable stuff here.
Yeah, I think Hampshire would have taken one of those 400 pitches to get a
Exactly
11-point draw.
Exactly right.
Whatever it would have been.
There's a little faint sweep shot. That's a lovely play there from Gubbins. It's racing down towards the Hayes Close road end. There's no real pace on the ball, of course, from the spin of Harmer, but they'll pick up 2. Nice little deft sweep shot there from Nick Gubbins to end that over. 45 for 4. Gubbins has 24. Brown has 4, but Harmer, I'm afraid, is looking like he's going to take a hatful of wickets at some point, or will take a hatful of wickets.
Yeah, and who knows? The fact that Essex were playing, obviously you do get points for draws, but Essex haven't got many batting points. But the fact that they were playing on untypical Chelmsford surfaces at the start of the season, obviously he wasn't involved in the first game, but you feel that Essex might be a little bit closer to the pack or to the leaders, had that been the case. Snyder with 4 slips bowls and cut off the back foot and goes away up towards extra cover, and there's no run. So Ben Brown, who's been very good for Hampshire this season, has got a job here. Hampshire obviously need a partnership really right now to take them through to the close and then into tomorrow. Try and rebuild.
Averages 46 this season, 40 in his career.
It's going to be a real battle. As you suspect, every other over almost from here on is going to be Harmer, as this one is just played out towards mid-wicket and there's no run. So where Essex struggled a bit, Edgbaston was a good example, a pitch that never suits Harmer and didn't on this occasion. The 3-seamer attack in the end was sort of undermined because they had the leg spin of Critchley, but there wasn't anything in the pitch for him. Burgess got 170, but this is an ideal situation for Essex where they can just rotate 3-seamers around Harmer, which is their typical pattern at home. And Snyder bowls and keeps low, and Brown plays it pretty well up into the offside, and there's no run.
I mean, it is a game of 2 ends. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you'd want to be doing the majority of your batting from this near end against the seamers, who look like they're going to be bowling from that Hayes Close end now for most of the time. But you will get the odd one that will keep a little bit low. You will get the odd one that bounces, but it's only the odd one. Whereas Harmer, I mean, it just looks like every other, delivery is a bit of a problem.
Snyder up to the wicket, bowls, and that's well pitched up and just dug out and played towards mid-wicket. It's not, obviously, these sort of conversations are never sort of made public as to what extent the ECB, because obviously there have been a combination of also the seam on the ball. I'm not sure how significant that's been in this case, but the batch of balls, but also the quality of the pitches, general lack of rain. So we've had quite high scores around the country. But it's remarkable that we've suddenly gone back to an old style from the last few seasons pitch at Chelmsford compared to what we've had earlier this year. Snyder bowled a beauty, beats him outside the off stump. That was a nice piece of bowling from Snyder. That beat Brown all ends up. It's fortunate not to edge it. 45 for 4.
Gosh, all the supporters in front of us all went up, didn't they?
Yeah. Hampshire trying to hang on till the end, but we'll have to face 4 more overs of Harmer. And as I say, one of the problems will be, they may well avoid the follow-on, but the bowlers won't get that much of a rest, which hoping that the batsman would provide. As this is pulled on the bounce towards mid-wicket, the sort of late decision by Brown to play that shot, and in the end, on the bounce out towards Paul Walter at mid-wicket, the end of the over. Gubbins 24 and Brown 4, with Hampshire having lost wickets in an absolute clatter, with Felix Organ for 0, Ian Holland for 11. He didn't look too comfortable in his brief stay against Harmer, but he was actually out in the end to Sam Cook. Vince, second ball, and the first he'd faced against Harmer, stumped by Rossington, and then Dawson caught, we think, probably off the glove, maybe inside edge, off Harmer for 4, and it's 45 for 4, and we've got 7 overs left in the day.
Yeah, 4 overs, 2 for 7 for Harmer so far. Bowling against the left-hander Gubbins. 3 men round the bat as he bowls. Gubbins sweeps from straight, and that's high over square leg, and that is 4 runs. Well, it looks very much as though Gubbins is going to play various forms of sweep shots against Harmer. We saw the little tickle on the leg side in the previous over. That was more of a full-blooded sweep in the air, but safe because there was nobody down there. Be interesting to see what Harmer does here, whether he changes the field. I think he might let Gubbins play 1 or 2 of those shots. I don't think he'll mind too much. Looks like he's keeping the same field. There is a man behind square on the leg side, but he's not quite saving one. But that's worked away on the leg side. It's gone straight to him, actually. But more from a whippy shot rather than a sweep. So Gubbins is now on 28, and Hampshire 49 for 4. 189 runs behind on the first innings. Here's Harmer round the wicket again to Gubbins, flighted. Gubbins works that away through mid-wicket, quite full there from Harmer, and they will pick up at 2 as racing out towards there. Who's that one? Don't recognise.
Could be, yeah, might just having a look, see if it might be Allison, just having a little look.
Is he on
Get
for
an
somebody?
idea, just having a look, get an idea in a minute.
50 up for Hampshire, and that's in the 16th over.
Oh, it's Wesley.
Oh, it is Wesley, yeah, apologies. And Gubbins is on the back foot and plays and misses as the ball bounces and turns away from the outside edge.
Yes, Hampshire supporters might be wondering when Surrey and Lancashire have to face this. Well, Lancashire do in September. Surrey don't at all. The only Essex-Surrey game is at the Oval, where it won't be like this.
That's why this Division 1's now. There's another sweep shot, and that's past the diving field, and that's 4 runs. Now Harmer might just change the field here. Gubbins is having some success with that sweep shot. So Harmer is bowling it fairly straight, has to with the turn. And Gubbins is playing those shots quite nicely at the moment. What's Harmer going to do? Is he going to leave the fielder out there? He's thinking about it. He's thinking, and he is. He's saying to the fielder, just stay out there. 3/4 of the way out. 55 for 2. Gubbins moves on to 34.
You're going to make a point about the First Division and
well, I just think it's ridiculous,
not being,
isn't it? Not playing everybody. We
Yeah.
only play Surrey once. We play Lancashire once. It's ridiculous. Yorkshire once. Here's Harmer again. Edge caught, and that's caught in the gully, and that's the ball. I'm afraid that Gubbins was hoping would never come, and that's a good ball there. He's had to play at it. It's turned and bounced, and he's caught in the gully, and Gubbins goes for 34, Hampshire 55 for 5.
Yeah, that's a big moment because he had played really well. I think it's Dan Lawrence underneath the helmet. Yes, it is. It was another beautifully pitched delivery from Harmer, just getting a little bit over towards off stump, and Gubbins had played really well. But yeah, I mean, it's looking now like a good decision for Essex to have batted first, got some sort of score on the board, because they'll know that if they can get a decent lead here, which is looking very likely now, it is going to be probably easier second time round, and they'll back the likes of a Lawrence or a Cook to get established. And have to say, unless Hampshire can find a way of changing this very quickly, it is looking as though the recent run of games on this ground between the two sides is going to continue in terms of the result.
Very, very difficult indeed. Hampshire, well, I think even if Hampshire get close to Essex's first innings, it's not going to be enough, because Harmer is quite comfortably the difference between the two sides here at the moment. He has 3 for 17 from his 5 overs, and he will still have a few more to bowl tonight. In fact, we've got 6 overs left tonight, so he's got another 3 in the bag, and I would never bet against the fact that he will get at least 1 more tonight.
Well, we did say, didn't we, when Liam Dawson bowled at 10-1 and 2 exploratory overs, and thought that's interesting. He's getting quite a lot of help out there. That one person who'd be particularly interested in the dressing room would be Simon Harmer very soon. Simon Harmer was observing things in the middle, but even though he only got 19 with the bat, that partnership with Snyder was very important. Snyder bowling, and my word, his runs look important now as he bowls to Brown, who tries a swivel pull, sends it up towards mid-wicket, and there's no run. So, as I say, the worry for Essex now is that they, over Hampshire now, is that, you know, it's have to sort of summon up quite a lot of reserve to get Essex into the sort of trouble they were in this morning, with Essex having a big lead to defend, which is will build on. It's looking like the case. Snyder bowls and Brown drives pleasantly for 2 probably. Walter chasing it back towards the deep mid-wicket boundary, and they've got back for 2. When Dick comes on, you can request a change of ends, Kevin, and not take Harmon's. might help.
I don't mind. Well, yeah, maybe
I think
Dick's
he's coming back in a minute.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind. I mean, it's good bowling. I mean, it's
remarkable, and it's just amazing. You look at those stats from earlier in the season, and see the Edgbaston stats are not particularly good for Harmon either. Taunton, he was barely involved because it was a seamless paradise. I think got a handful of wickets, I think, but it's all changed in the last couple of games really for him.
And in this situation tonight, he can't emphasise how difficult he is to play at the moment.
Snyder bowls. This is played defensively.
You know,
into the offside, and there's no run.
It's like watching 2 games at the moment. You know, for the seamers at the far end, you know, you feel like you could bat all day, absolutely no problem. With Harmer, I think if you make the end of the over, you've done well.
Yeah, it's quite a challenging difference.
Nightmare. As a batter, you'd want to get down the seamer's end as much as you'd be looking for quick singles, and you'd be looking 6 overs left tonight, and you want to be, you'd be thinking, of course you want to bat till the end. You'd be wanting to face at least 5 overs at that 6 against the seamers as an individual batter.
Snyder with the short mid-wicket in, bowls, and this is played by Brown back down the pitch. I think I'm looking at that sort of pull shot that Brown has played a couple of times, just looking for one where the bounce is slightly irregular and he could potentially hit it straight to the man there. It's Dan Lawrence, who's been moved from the gully to that short mid-wicket. So Organ no score, Holland 11, Vince 1, Dawson 4, and the big wicket really, in the context of the way he was playing, Nick Gubbins for 34 from 42 balls.
And he found a way against Harmer, didn't he, effectively?
Absolutely.
Only for a little while, though.
Snyder bowls, it's just cutting in slightly from outside the off stump. But yeah, I mean, the problem is Hampshire aren't going to get to the older ball to see if they can score more freely against the seamers. And well, we're only in the 17th over now, 57 for 5. It's going to take a really sterling effort to get into that position. But we saw what Essex did prosper this afternoon as the ball got older, got into the sort of 40 and 50 overs.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how Nyan Donald plays Harmer, because he isn't by nature an attacking batter, and you'll have watched Vince try to be attacking and get out.
3 slips waiting. Snyder bowls, and on the drive Brown sends it away, and it's nicely stopped there at mid-off. That was travelling. It's Cook out there, and that was well stopped. Sam Cook. So 57 for 5. That stopped preventing a run. Donald hasn't faced. Brown has 6. Harmer's figures are 3 for 17 in 5 overs, and 238 was the Essex score. And yeah, I mean, the die does seem to be rather cast in this game, unless there's someone's able to play a really dazzling innings, and of course they can't really afford to take risks tonight.
No, I think they'll have been watching Harmer, and they will see that it's bouncing a bit, and they will say, well, hang on a minute, if I'm just blocking it from the crease, one's going to bounce and I'm going to go to one of those 2 men on the leg side. So you then have to make decisions. Do you back yourself to somehow not get one that bounces too much, in which case I think you will. So you know, you've got to be careful. So then you've got to try and find a way of combating them. Here's Harmer, he's over the wicket then to Donald. Donald forward, inside edge onto the pad. Is he caught short leg? He is. There's the bounce. He's looking at his forearm as if to say, well, it didn't touch my glove. But it looked out from here, I have to say. And there's the bounce, and that's what I'm saying. You know, if you're going to play it from the crease, you will get one that bounces on you. So you've got to decide, are you going to try and play that out and hope that you get a bit of luck? Or do you do what Vince does and say, well, look, I'm going to hit a few and try and change the field, get one of those guys out from short? Because somehow they've got to get those guys out from short on the leg side. Now, we've got another left-hander coming in, but for Brown, it's going to be the same problem. You've got to find a way. You just have to find a way. 57 for 6. Donald has gone first ball.
Yeah, and follow-on target, the 150 behind would be 88. And from an Essex point of view, well, they could really go either way. The forecast is good. I don't think, basically, since very few overs have gone, they might just decide to impose a follow-on, but I suspect they'll almost certainly probably bat again because of the time left in the game. So Keith Barker, we were singing his praises as an all-rounder, but I don't think he could have imagined he'd be coming in at this point. 57 for 6.
Harmer's on the hat-trick.
Yeah, that's right.
Dan Lawrence, I take it, would caught that one. Short in. Taking an educated guess. So here we go, hat-trick ball for Simon Harmer. And it's the left-hander, Keith Barker, who is
Pepper to the last catch.
Is it Pepper, was it?
Yeah.
So there are men around the bat as much as anything for the hat-trick ball, but I just think they would be anyway. Now Barker is an experienced player, and again, you know, as you walk into the crease, as you are up in the changing rooms, you have to think how you are going to play this. You know, that's another batter that's gone from a ball that's bounced and caught close in, and I'm sure Barker, who can be quite positive, is positive for quite a lot of the time when he's out there, has already worked out a method. It's just whether it works. But I think at the moment Harmer has such a hold over the Hampshire batters here that I think whoever finds a way, it won't be away for very long. 4 for 17, as Nick Gubbins found, unfortunately. He did find a way. A couple of good sweeps, 3 good sweeps, but in the end, he perished to one that turned. There are 3 men on the offside around the bat and 1 on the leg side. Here's the hat-trick ball here for Simon Harmer. Do you want to do this?
No, you carry on.
Okay, here comes Harmer then to Barker. It's flighted, and Barker gets one and bounces. Oh, and it goes between 2 fielders on the offside. Did it catch the bat? It certainly looked as though it did, the way it went up in the air. And somehow, he's found a gap between those 3 fielders on the offside. And quite rightly, the crowd, certainly in front of us, applaud what might have been a hat-trick. That was as close, I think, to a hat-trick as I think you'll get. Here's that Harmer bowls. It's quicker, and it's flicked away by Barker through the vacant mid-wicket area. There is runs here. Will it go all the way? Has he got enough on it to go all the way to the rope? He hasn't quite, and they'll pick up 3. Hampshire on to 60 for 6. Barker off the mark. Slightly short there from Harmer.
Yeah, it's very wisely there. Keith Barker not even considering whether it was an all-run 4 on there. He just
he didn't want it.
Leisurely came in
He
for
didn't want it, did he?
Run, yeah.
Even if it was, he didn't want it.
No. There actually wasn't, but I think if I'd been in his position, I'd have just walked with it.
He's already worked out. He needs to be down this end, you see, away from Harmer. Here's some experience for you. Here's Brown to face Harmer. 2 on the leg side weight. I'm sure they'll be in the game again shortly, and he's on the back foot there and just steers it into the vacant cover area. And Brown, I'm sure, is mighty relieved, even with that ball, that he's got a single, and he moves on to 7. Hampshire 61 for 6, still 177 runs behind Essex on the first innings. Exciting stuff. I mean, I have to say, even though it is Essex and it's Simon Harmer, it's exciting watching him bowl. You just feel something's going to happen every ball. Bowls to Barker. Barker on the back foot keeps it down. You can see Barker, he's sort of walking across his stumps. He does that a lot to the spinners.
Yeah, I mean, it really is taking us back to a lot of the pictures of the last few years.
This is bringing back nightmares for me. Comes down the wicket there and just prods it back to the bowler. Harmer just bowled that a little quicker. Another good over there for Harmer. 61 for 6. Barker has 3. Brown has 7. Harmer, 6 overs, 4 for 21.
Yeah, and been obviously outstanding, getting a pitch that suited him, and he could actually double his haul of wickets for the season in this game, you feel, because I think he started with 12 wickets for the season, which we'll just double check that, and well, he got 12 of course in the game last year, so yeah, he's got 4 for 27. He started with 12 wickets for the season from 5 games, so averaging what, just over 2 wickets a game, and now he's already got 4, and as I say, he got 12 in the fixture last year, so he could actually double his haul. If he emulates that, he'll double his haul for the season in one game, which would be quite something at this stage of the season. Aaron Beard is going to get a go, and interesting to see how he goes here. But
yeah, I'm not sure Snyder was accurate enough, if I'm honest.
here's Beard, who's got a little bit of extra pace to him, up to the wicket, bowls, and that's going down the leg side, and Brown tries to play the pull shot, but doesn't make any contact. But what a remarkable spell from Simon Harmer. But from Hampshire's point of view, it's a bit of a what if, but if Vince had, Vince, would he have the technical quality to have been able to negotiate Harmer if he just got himself in?
I just think with the bounce that he gets,
even Vince, it would have been.
Well,
much.
I think anybody would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And I think Vince's probably thought, well, look, I don't want these men around me.
That might have been his
They've got to
thinking.
go. Yeah.
Yes, I can see your point now. It's outside the off stump. His thought would have been, if I can just clear this, get rid of some of these close fielders, play a few strokes, start to eat into that 238, and then Wesley. And this is where that afternoon of batting from Essex is so important, that one outside the off stump and left alone, because had Essex been rolled for 140, the whole psychology of the day could well have been different.
We'd have been going home tomorrow night.
Could well
we
have
might still be.
Yeah. But 61 for 6, 238 for Essex, 71 for Shane Snyder, his third 70 of the season, and that's outside the off stump and left alone by Brown, who's acquitted himself well, but sensibly at the seamer's end, which is
it's the end to bat.
Yeah, I'm sure Barker will be very much keen on telling the umpire, I'm looking for a single off the last ball here. There's the umpire saying, oh, if you're halfway down the ground, I'll let you off. I can see why. 61 for 6. On a sunny evening, the weather's been unchanged all day. Nice playing and watching day. 3 slips waiting, and that one is going down the leg side. It's sort of just a little bit of a problem with the line there from Beard. Just needs to get it a little bit further to off stump.
Yeah, I mean, Cook bowled a nice spell from that end, didn't he? 2 for 12 from 6, got it in the right areas, by and large most of the time, and that's what you want. You know, that's what Tom Wesley wants as skipper, doesn't he? He wants the seamers to bowl accurate from that Hayes close end, and just leave Harmer to do what Harmer does. I'm just not sure Baird and Snyder are quite backed Cook up at that end.
Comes Beard again, up to the wicket, bowls outside the off stump, and left alone by the right-handed Brown. So, well, you try and find a way out for sides and think of what they can do here, but the problem is the way Harmer's going. Even if Hampshire were to get to 150 and just be 80 odd behind, it's
too many almost.
Yeah, it just it's going to ask an awful lot of the bowlers to try and to dig something out of that. Here's Beard, straight approach from the Hayes close end, bowls, and there's a nice swivel pull from Ben Brown for a single.
It's his shot, isn't it?
And that was well executed. Gets a single there, and it's just what Keith Barker was looking for there. He's safely down at the non-striker's end. But Ben Brown is now going to face...
Brown's probably hit that straight to a fielder and I thought, it's only a single. Collectively, I back the Hampshire Seamers against Essex. I think, Sam Cook apart, I just don't think, without being unkind to them, I don't think they're up to what the Hampshire attack can provide. So, but you're asking an awful lot of the Hampshire Seamers here, because in the end of the day, it's Harmer.
Yes.
That's the big difference between the two sides, and it's just really what he does from now in, isn't it? Here we go again then. He's bowling to Brown. Still 3 men round the bat. Bowls. Brown plays that into the ground. Not so much bounce on that occasion. So Brown was able to play that reasonably comfortably behind square on the leg side, where Nick Brown is fielding.
I imagine if Mason Crane had been in very good form, he'd certainly be in the squad for this one.
Yeah, I
at the very
agree.
least.
He's just not quite there at the moment. Now he's well forward there, even though the ball turns and hits him on the front pad. Yeah, it's a shame at the moment. You know, he's just not quite finding his best form. It's a little bit risky selecting him at times, but I'm sure he'll come good at some point. Here comes Harmer again, bowls to Brown down the leg side and pulls the bat out the way. Well taken by Rossington. That's not going to be easy for the keeper down the leg side, coming through at various heights.
Yeah, it's the first time that Rossington's had to keep Harmer on a pitch like this.
Yeah.
Old Trafford to a much lesser extent.
He'll test him, that's for sure, as Harmer bowls. Brown on the back foot, that hasn't turned quite so much either. Of course, we must remember, we're talking about the bounce that Harmer's getting. We are still only in the 20th over here, that if Hampshire can just keep batting somehow, once we get into the 40th and 50th over, if they can last that long, then there won't be so much bounce, or we wouldn't think there would be. That's flighted. Does that come off the inside edge onto the pad? Half an appeal, as it's called it short leg. Ball's just turned and just cannoned into the pad rather than collected the inside edge on the way. Clever changes of pace here from Harmer. The slower the ball, the more it's going to bounce. Comes in again, and that has turned a bounce, but down the leg side, and again, well taken by Rossington. Neat stumping, or neat work behind the stumps from Rossington, and that's a maiden, 7 overs, 2 maidens. And Harmer has 4 for 21, and we have in the day, I think 3 overs left. Was it 3?
I think 2. 2 now.
Two.
The last one to be bowled by.
It's going to be a long
but
time.
I was just having a little look at. So the last test against South Africa is on the 8th of September, so it'll end on Monday the 12th. And theoretically, Harmer potentially could be back for. I think there's a game against Lancashire on the. It might be starting the following day, I think. And I say that because the games that Harmer will miss for Essex are going to be. In fact, no, it starts on the same. The Yorkshire game starts on that day. So yeah, so basically the games he'll miss are 2 away games. Well, of course the pitches wouldn't be in his favour anyway, as this is outside the off stump and left alone by Barker with Beard bowling to him. So that helps. I mean,
it'd be a silly side that prepares a home pitch.
Yeah.
Turn the bet.
Well, generally speaking, he has a lot more success here. Edgbaston is very much the archetypal wicket that doesn't suit him, but. Canterbury might have done a bit, and Headingley, of course, has suited the spinners in this Test match. But it's interesting that those 2 games, the games he's most likely to miss is with South Africa, are both away from home. But well, if Essex were to win this game, can they get back into contention as Barker faces up and plays that defensively? I still think they're probably going to have to go to the Oval and win next month, and that to have any sort of chance, and that's going to take quite a lot of doing.
Yeah.
You just feel that, so again, even when they don't win games, they're probably going to get high-scoring draws at the Oval, and they'll be quite pleased looking at this score, won't they?
I mean, I agree with your observation earlier. I mean, Hampshire would have been more than happy coming here for a draw, especially with their record here over the last 5 games. But I'm not sure at the moment they're even going to achieve that. They'll have to play unbelievably well from here on in.
Barker gets a delivery down the leg side. Beard's not got his line right at the moment, I think it's fair to say. And yeah, it is. You say it's almost like we're watching 2 different games, isn't it?
I mean, you're fighting for your life one end, and to be honest, it's almost too easy at the other end at the moment.
Yes, but I think Porter, the form he showed at Old Trafford, he would have played in this game, and that would have just cranked up the pressure even more. So. Interestingly, 435 for 4. 2 men made 124. Hashim Amla and Ben Geddes. That sort of day for Surrey, and those 2 put on 213 for the 3rd wicket. So another partnership taking shape. But there's a lot of runs in the day there, and also actually a lot of runs for Northants. Somebody's made a big score there. Rob Keogh, 130, 406 for 6 against Warwickshire. So that's outside the off stump and left alone by Barker. Warwickshire, whose bowling has struggled ever since Liam Norwell got that injury. A lot depending on Oliver Hannon-Dolby, who's been wicketless today. But 406 for 6, Northants, who've acquitted themselves reasonably well in the section. And Gloucestershire 236 for 7, so a fight back by Lancashire there. Chris Dent's been there from the start, he's 71 not out. 238 for 7 at Bristol. Gloucestershire, Lancashire are top of the table clash in Division 2, Notts 374 for 4, with Hassi Hamid having made 101 and Lyndon James is 89 not out. That's a loose delivery going down the leg side, and it's gone down to the final leg boundary for 4 byes. So I think it just underlines the point that Beard has not got a line right at the moment. Just Barker getting inside the line of that and almost sort of able to watch it on its way as it bounced way to the right of the keeper.
Didn't give him much chance,
No.
Rossington, did it? God.
And yeah, I mean, I certainly think that they need Harmer here, Essex, because of course, you know, Sam Cook obviously.
Yeah.
Very consistent, but the other two haven't quite settled. Got 2 slips and a leg slip. It's outside the off stump and left alone by Barker. So 66 for 6 with 8 to Brown and 3 to Barker. And we've got 1 over left of the day. I wonder if they might have a Dan Lawrence maybe, or do you think it might be Harmer?
Right.
Dan Lawrence might
Yeah.
put like a bowl on this.
Well, he might have a bowl at the other end, the way the seamers are bowling. James Ronaldson, email sunnycricket@gmail.com. He's in Carbridge in the Highlands of Scotland. Oh, I bet that's nice there today. Well, I hope it is anyway. I agree with your observation on Hampshire's approach to Harmer, but surely in the close season there should be some homework done on how we deal with him. We talk about having bowlers plans for batters, but what about the other way round? I have to say that it might not look it, but I think 1 or 2 of the batters did have a plan. It just didn't work. Harmer bowls, and that's cut away by Brown out into the vacant cover area. He just placed it rather than hit it, so he'll pick up 2, and Hampshire move on to 66 for 6. So, as I say, I mean, Vince, I'm sure, had a plan. He had a plan to get rid of the men around him. It just didn't work. And the others probably just, 1 or 2 of them probably just took their chances a little bit. Gubbins had a plan to hit across the line, but just got a really good ball as Harmer comes in and bowls to Brown, plays that neatly in front of him. There are 4 men around the bat, but sometimes the plans come off. I'm sure if Vince had come down the wicket and driven him straight hard for 4, and maybe on another occasion did the same, then Harmer might have been forced to take a fielder out, but he didn't have to. Brown's on the back foot, and that's turned and it's bounced over the stumps. That's why everybody out there's got excited. But
Fine judgment from Brown.
Well, it is, but sometimes the bounce works in your favour, as it did there.
Yes.
Yeah, I think actually it probably wasn't quite over the stumps looking at the replay, but it certainly was close enough. Harmer in again, that's fired down the leg side. I think that's the arm ball, but he didn't quite swing. So, again, it's a good take from Rossington.
Still playing him a test match with England in control. Pope 57, Root 36. They've so far added 85, 136 for 2. Just need a further 160 to win.
As, again, that's turned, and Brown on the back foot there plays that safely out towards mid-wicket. And we've got 1 ball left, I think, haven't we?
New Zealand regretting not playing their left-arm spinner.
So, last ball of day 1. It's been eventful. And we are going to have another man in close. Looks like going to have 3 men on the leg side now for this final delivery. There is already 2 on the offside. I think we're going to have a helmet. I think you have to have a helmet, don't you, no matter what, even if you're in front or behind. I think that's the rule now. That I think in days gone by, anybody behind square on the leg side would think they'd get away with it, but not anymore. I think you have to. So there'll be a slight delay as we wait for the helmet to be brought out. And it's on its way. And Hampshire will be hoping upon hope that another wicket doesn't fall at this ball. So 5 men around the bat as Harmer comes in and bowls to Brown, and Brown is forward, plays that into the ground, and that's safe enough. And well bowled, Simon Harmer. He really has put Essex into a really, really strong position at the end of day 1. 68 for 6, Hampshire are, and Harmer has the impressive figures of 4 for 23 from 8. Ben Brown is 10 not out. Keith Barker is 3, and Hampshire trail. I was just trying to work it out as I'm talking. They trail Essex currently on the first innings by 170.
Yeah, and it's a long way back for Hampshire from here, and a day that actually Hampshire had been controlling, certainly up until the early part of the afternoon. Essex gradually wresting the initiative and then seizing it completely with Simon Harmer in the final session. Very much in the end, it turned into Essex's day, and it didn't look like that for a great deal of time. Simon Harmer at the end, 4 for 23 in 8 overs. Remember, he started the season with just 12 wickets to his name, so he now has 16. 34 to Gubbins, who played nicely. Brown is there on 10, and Keith Barker on 3 at the close. Tomorrow, myself and Kevin joined by Glenn Speller. I hope you'll join us for that. It seems as though the game is on a predictable course now, but who knows what might happen. Can Hampshire get close to this Essex score, or will Essex get a commanding first innings lead and then be able to build on it? Join us again from 5 to 11 tomorrow. From myself, Nick Lettle, and from the rest of the team. Thanks for listening, and enjoy your evening.